We'll now have an opportunity for silent prayer meditation. You may be seated. Honorable members, does any member wish to give a notice of a motion? No one. We'll then proceed. Honorable Kaula, is it a notice of a motion?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. On behalf of Inkatha Freedom Party, I shall move at the next sitting of this House that this House debate the full-scale water crisis that has hit KwaZulu-Natal and what steps government can take to ensure that our people do not end paying the consequences of the lack of water due to governmental inefficiency. I so move.
Thank you very much. I take it that was the only member. Shall we then proceed to motions without notices? Any member? Honorable Faba, you may continue. Should I just say Eastern Cape? Okay. All right. Oh.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move that Energy Minister Tina Joemat-Pettersson has misled Parliament and should be suspended. Reports indicated that the Minister was involved in recommending and appointing Mr. Tsepo Kgadima as chairperson of the board of Petro SA. However, when questioned about this in the National Assembly last week, she flatly denied any involvement in Kgadima's appointment. She told MPs at the time the appointment of a chairperson was the responsibility of the board of Petro SA's holding company. According to reports, Kgadima was allegedly involved in fraud and led to the loss of millions of rands by investors while he was CEO and president of Lonthon Coal. The reports further state that Kgadima was recommended of the post of Petro SA chairperson along with 3 other candidates by Joemat-Pettersson in a letter sent to CEF Chair Shanki Mtebi Makanyale on October 10th. She has clearly misled Parliament and must be suspended in terms of the procedure to be followed during the investigation of allegations of misconduct and contempt of Parliament. Kgadima stood accused of swining more than 250 investors who allegedly put money into his company. Tlolo Coal between 2012 for a project that did not exist. The appointments was therefore irrational and should be set aside. In fact, it is highly questionable that the Minister applied a mind at all in recommending Mr. Kgadima in the first place, further casting doubt over judgment and ability to serve as a Minister, as had previously been established by the MyFreight finding against her by the Public Protector. I so move.
In the light of the objection, therefore, the motion shall be treated as a notice. Chief Whip.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. I hereby move without notice that the Council, 1, notes that the people of Tunisia casted their ballots on Sunday, 23rd November, to elect a president to lead their country after the Arab Spring uprisings that started in Tunisia. 2, further notes that the chief of the Independent Electoral Commission and the European monitoring teams indicated that the voting ran smoothly without serious violations except for a few isolated incidents. 3, therefore congratulates the people of Tunisia for finalizing their democratization process after a successful legislative and presidential poll that was preceded by the adoption of a new constitution earlier this year. I so move, Deputy Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? No. In the light of that, therefore, the motion shall be agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Mati Kinga. I hope I got it right.
Honorable Chairperson, on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move a motion without notice that the Council knows the ongoing housing issues facing Duncan Village residents in Buffalo City, which have driven a number of protests in the area. Further notes that the protests in Duncan Village are as a result of allegations of illegal occupation of RDP houses, and that despite these protests, the mayor of Buffalo City is unwilling to address the root causes of the situation, and therefore calls on the MEC for Human Settlements in the Eastern Cape to intervene in Duncan Village to assist the residents and ensure that the lawful owners occupy their houses. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? In the light of an objection, therefore, the motion shall be treated as a notice. Honorable Makue.
Honorable Chairperson, on behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that the Council notes with concern that the rolling blackouts at the weekend were due to the power system experiencing an increase in demand as a result of weather conditions and increased load losses as a result of multiple tripping of generating units at the Majuba and Matombe power stations. Further note that Eskom's diesel generators were under pressure because of a lack of fuel that was caused by diesel supplies receiving volumes that were not meeting the requirements. Therefore, calls on Eskom to do everything possible to build more reserves in order to limit the risk of load shedding, and call on the general public and private sector to use electricity responsibly in order to assist in the saving of electricity and stopping blackouts. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? Therefore, the motion shall be agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Mlamba.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair. On behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that the Council knows that the Premier of Gauteng, Honorable David Makura, visited the families of the children that were killed in Reche Park in order to brief the families on the status of the investigations into their children's death, and for them to provide the team with information that might be useful in the investigation. 2, further notes that the Premier established a multidisciplinary team that will work with the Reche Park community to deal with various issues plaguing the area in the East Rand. 3, further notes that the team consists of Eguruleni Mayor, Mr. Mondli Gungubele, Gauteng MEC for Community Safety, Sizakele Nkosi Malubane, Gauteng MEC for Transport, Mr. Ishmael Vadi, and Gauteng Police Commissioner, Lisija Mutiba. Therefore commends the Gauteng Premier for acting with speed and care in trying to resolve and end the murder of children in that area. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? In the light of an objection, therefore, the motion shall be treated as a notice. Honorable Motara.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. On behalf of the ANC, I wish to move without notice that the Council notes that after a grueling competition, Vincent Bones from Pietermaritzburg has been crowned the winner of the Idol Season 10 on Sunday, the 23rd of November. Further notes that he was a former homeless street kid roaming for discarded leftovers in the streets of Sunnyside, Pretoria, before he was put into Boys Town, where he finished his schooling, and therefore wishes to congratulate Vincent Bones on winning the competition and hope that this will change his life for the better. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? Therefore, the motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Klimbi.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. On behalf of the ANC, I hereby move without notice that the council notes with concern the armed robbery that took place in Guguletu at Mzoli's place on Sunday evening on the 23rd of November, where a woman was robbed of her cell phone and then shot dead. This is one in a string of armed robbery cases that are escalating, especially during the festive season. Also notes that Mzoli's place is one of the tourist destinations in our townships and even where locals frequent. Further notes that these criminal acts deny our people free movement and subject them into anxiety and fear that is tantamount to gross violation of human rights. Therefore condemns and shuns such acts and call upon people to be careful in their movements. Further call on reactivation of community policing forums and neighborhood watch to be entrenched in our community. I so moved. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the motion? Therefore, the motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Labuskaghni.
The Democratic Alliance, that this House notes the raised minimum pass requirements for learners in grades 7, 8 and 9 by the Minister of Education. Agrees that whilst raising the minimum pass requirements is a step in the right direction, it cannot be done in isolation and should be accompanied by intensified efforts to support learners and educators. Considers methods to raise the standards of education across South Africa through the provision of basic support, training and infrastructure, and furthermore, considers the role which each provincial government can and must play to raise the standard of education across South Africa. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? In the light of an objection, therefore, the motion shall be treated as a notice. Honorable Prince.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. I move without notice that the House notes that operation at the SA Post Office are improving as the numbers of employees returning to work increases, heeding the call to return to work. Also notes that 52% of employees had returned to work since the wage agreement with unions had been signed last week, and the services are becoming more improved. Further notes that part of the agreement involves converting part-time and casual employees to full-time employees from the 1st of December, with full benefits becoming effective on the 1st of April 2015. Therefore, commends the intervention by the Minister, Honourable Siyabonga Cwele, on facilitation of reaching the solution with the effective third parties to better the situation. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? Is it an objection? Oh, is that an objection? Honorable, is it a no or yes? In the light of an objection, therefore, the motion shall be treated as a notice. Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. On behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that the Council notes that a wealthy White River businessman who held 5 underage Mozambican girls captive as sex slaves for 3 years has been sentenced to 8 life terms for human trafficking and rape on Friday, 21st November. Further notes that Mr. Lloyd Mabuza, 62, a timber trade entrepreneur, and his co-accused, Violet Chauke, 24, were convicted of multiple counts on human trafficking. Also note that Mabuza, who had been free while on 70,000 bail, was also found guilty on multiple counts of rape of five girls who were aged between 10 and 16 years. Therefore, congratulates the Harascope Magistrate Court for sending out a strong message that trafficking, the new name for slavery, will not be tolerated by the courts in South Africa, and call on the courts to apply the provisions of the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Person Act with a maximum penalty of a life imprisonment. Further call on judiciary systems to show no sympathy to those that perpetrate violence against women and children as we launch the campaign on the 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? Therefore, the motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable C.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I shall move without notice that this Council, noting that at the start of the 16 days of activism campaign for no violence against women and children, a grandmother in Chatsworth, Durban, was charged for brutally murdering her 2-year-old granddaughter by burning her with cigarettes, breaking her arm, and she was also found raped and beaten to death. This House condemns this kind of barbaric behavior and calls for justice to prevail for this child. And such individuals should be kept behind bars and away from society. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? Therefore, the motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Kaula, you're the last.
Honorable Chairperson, on behalf of Inkatha Freedom Party, I move without notice that the House recognizes that this November commemorates 154 years since the arrival of the Indian community in South Africa, who first arrived in South Africa in November 1860. House acknowledges the hardships, spirit, and courage of Indian forefathers and mothers who traveled to a new land, South Africa, and the many challenges they had to overcome. House further recognizes the great contribution that the Indian community has made to our socio-economic development and cultural diversity. Lastly, the House applauds their tireless efforts at integrated social cohesion and nation building under the flag of a united South Africa, the Rainbow Nation. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? In the absence of any objection, therefore the motion shall be agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. I've been informed that Honorable Mtimuye should have been the last in actual fact. With a few seconds left, I'll allow you.
Honorable Deputy Chair, in the name of the ANC, I hereby move without notice that Council notes that the Minister of Trade and Industry, Mr. Rob Davis, has relaunched the new DeFi side-by-side refrigerator facility worth 120 million in East London on Monday, the 24th of November, 2014. Further notes that this work is building on last year's industrial policy plan, known as IPAP, which recognizes the white goods industry as a strategic one with growth potential. Therefore, congratulate the Department of Trade and Industry for creating a climate conducive for investment in our economy, and commend the ASELIC Group for having confidence and investment in South African economy. I so move.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the motion? Is there an objection? In the light of an objection, therefore, the motion shall be treated as a notice. Honorable members, that brings us to the end of motions. Therefore, the Secretary will read the first order of the day. And before that, may I just caution members to log in, because if you look at the bills that we will have to adopt in the main Section 75, so you'll have to vote using the systems or the equipment for. So please log in. Secretary.
Consideration of report of Select Committee on Finance, termination of Section 100, subsection 1B, issued to the Limpopo province, and the issuing of the direction in terms of Section 100, subsection 1A of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa.
Honorable Charles de Beer.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable MECs, I noticed the Honorable Minister as well. On the 5th of December 2011, the South African Cabinet announced its intervention in the Limpopo Provincial Administration in accordance with Section 101B of the Constitution 1996. This effectively placed 5 Limpopo provincial departments, namely Provincial Treasury, Education, Transport, Health, Public Works, under National Executive Administration. The following were identified as the province's major challenges, namely underspending, overspending, and supply chain management issues. Chairperson, the objective of this intervention was, but it's the objective of government. It's the objective of the South African Constitution is good governance and sound financial management. On the 9th of July 2014, Cabinet approved the transition of the intervention from a Section 101B to a 101A of the Constitution of the RSA. This means that MECs of the effective provincial departments will assume full executive powers to run the departments, and the accounting officer role will revert back to the HODs. Cabinet has also given clear conditions that the provincial executive have to fulfill in terms of a directive, in terms of a transition period as well. Cabinet mandated the Interministerial Committee, we call it the IMC, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Premier and his executive. This is to give effect to Section 101A, to make provision for outstanding issues and to exercise oversight and provide support on the implementation of the sustainability of projects. But Chairperson, it's very important that we look at the process where it started on the 5th of December 2011. There was first a diagnostic analysis of the situation in the 5 affected departments. Then there was an action plan and the implementation of that action plan. Then there was a recovery phase. And now we're into that transition phase, going to a Section 101A, but eventually getting Limpopo out of the total intervention in terms of Section 100. Chairperson, it's very important to notice the progress that was made, and we must acknowledge that. The financial position of the province has improved, and the province had over 4 billion rand in cash surplus in the bank compared to an overdraft of 1.7 billion rand in 2011. The accumulated unauthorized expenditure has been reduced from 2.7 billion in 2011 to 600 million in 2014-15 financial year. The rest will be paid over by the 2016-17 financial year. The departments were no longer overspending on their budgets. Other achievements, Chairperson, was the compensation of employees that has been stabilized. The process of headcount verifications has been completed, and the number of temporary educators has been reduced from 2,544 to 6. The province has improved its compliance to the 30-day payment requirement over the past 2 years. The process of verification of learners and educators in the provincial departments of health and education has been completed. In the Provincial Department of Education, there have been improvements in per capita transfers in terms of the norms and the standards, the amount of which increased from 62% to 90%. Medicine stock levels in the Provincial Department of Health has been raised from 48% to the current average of 78%, while the value of expired medicine has been reduced from 11 million rand to 2.5 million. But Chairperson, there are still challenges. What are they? Resolving weaknesses in supply chain management systems, the conclusion of disciplinary and criminal cases, appointment of competent senior managers in key positions, addressing the skills gaps in financial management and infrastructure. Also, Chairperson, there was a report of the Anti-Corruption Task Team, the ACTT, that is not only operating in Limpopo, but in all provinces. As at 15 August 2014, the Provincial Department of Transport had a total number of 14 cases in the Department of Health and 7 cases in Education and 4 cases in Public Works. There were 22 forensic investigation reports on disciplinary cases when the intervention started. Key challenges on the slow finalization of disciplinary cases are the continuous postponement of cases. The SIU has devised strategies to address the challenges identified. During the investigations, the SIU discovered that in relation to tenders awarded by the provincial departments, there were actual losses to the value of approximately 1.4 billion rand. We must state here this afternoon, Chairperson, that the NCP also gave direction through the recommendations to direct the process of the intervention. Our observations are as follows. The intervention team has made progress in Limpopo, particularly the improvement in the financial position of the province. There are still challenges and concerns related to the sustainability of the intervention, which include vacancies, outstanding fraud and disciplinary cases, lack of integrated system, and lack of capacity. The committee has noted that the decision of Cabinet to approve the transition of the intervention from a Section 101B to a Section 101A of the Constitution. There is a need for the provincial departments to improve on their audit outcomes and comply with the PFMA. The National Treasury has appointed consultants funded by the European Union to conduct capacity and skills audit assessment of officers of CFOs, and that started in July 2014. The legacy projects in the Department of Education have a negative impact on the AG's audit outcomes. Stats South Africa has been reluctant in releasing detailed database information for use and further analysis by the province. The Department of Public Service and Administration do not have a mechanism linking personnel systems between the public service and the municipalities. Then, Chairperson, our recommendations are as follows: that the Limpopo provincial legislature should continuously monitor and exercise oversight over departments and municipalities throughout the transition phase. The 5 provincial departments that were put under administration should sustain the mechanisms and systems that are in place during the transition period and over the long-term period. The transition process from the administrators team, and this is crucial, to the provincial officials should be clear and systematic for the purposes of accountability and continuity. The province should consider making use of experts who no longer work in the DBSA following its restructuring to fill the critical vacant positions, because there's a pool of expertise. The HOD of the Department of Education in particular should put plans in place to address the legacy projects that are having a negative impact when it comes to audit outcomes from the Auditor General. The National Department of Basic Education should address the issue of reinstating the rural allowance, providing the Limpopo Department of Education with funding. Stats South Africa should provide the province with the required information as an amount of 18.5 million rand was provided to fund the project in the provincial health and education departments. Then, Chairperson, the Department of COCTA should, within 90 days after the adoption of this report by the House, table a progress report on the draft legislation that would provide regulations on interventions in terms of Section 103 of the Constitution. Honourable Chairperson, that the NCP should support and approve the transition of the intervention from Section 101B to Section 101A of the Constitution of the RSA. I move that this report be adopted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. That concludes the debate. I shall now put the question, and the question is that the report be agreed to. In accordance with Rule 71, I shall first allow provinces an opportunity to make a declaration of vote if they so wish. Is there any province that wishes to make a declaration of vote? Oh, Western Cape. Honourable Labuska.
Stand here, okay. Thank you, Chair. The DA cautiously agrees to the termination of Section 101B intervention in Limpopo.
Honourable Labuska, just quickly, is it the DA or the Western Cape? Because
Western
it should
Cape.
be the province.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for correction, Chair. The Western Cape cautiously agrees to the termination of Section 101B intervention in Limpopo and the issuing of directives in terms of Section 101A of the Constitution. The Western Cape believes that the intervention in one sphere of government by another is an extreme constitutional mechanism only to be utilized in the most desperate of situations. Indeed, it is the ultimate indictment of a provincial government that completely fails to render services to its people. Such was the case with the disastrous Limpopo provincial government, and unfortunately, the Auditor General's report indicates that the situation has not improved in all areas in spite of the Section 101B intervention. The AG's report indicates that the non-compliance with laws and regulations remains high, with the Departments of Education, Health and Public Works incurring the highest number of non-compliance findings. The Education Department has had a disclaimer for the past 4 financial years and actually received even more findings whilst under administration. The quality of performance reporting is still a challenge at the Departments of Education, Health and Public Works. Education was the highest contributor to fruitless and wasteful expenditure of 168 million and irregular expenditure to 2,209 billion. These findings by the Auditor General raise serious concerns about the effectiveness of the national intervention in Limpopo and the ability of the Limpopo provincial government to now complete this work under the directive. Notwithstanding the above, a provincial government cannot be under administration indefinitely, and the newly elected provincial government must be afforded the opportunity to pick up the mantle and transform Limpopo into a province that meets its constitutional and legislative obligations. However, we will monitor the situation, maybe I must speak closer. We will monitor the situation in Limpopo carefully to ensure that this occurs to the benefit of the people of Limpopo and not the politicians. For these reasons, the Western Cape votes in favor of adopting the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other province that wishes to make a declaration of vote? In the absence of any, we shall then proceed with the voting. Are all delegation heads present? Are they? Yes. No. Doubtful. Okay. All right. We shall then proceed to the voting in an alphabetical order. Eastern Cape?
Eastern Cape agrees.
Free State?
Free State agrees.
Was it not recorded? No, that's fine. We have already started. I forgot now that you have logged in. So seeing that we have already started by calling province, I'll be on the alert from now. Free State voted in favor. All right. Gauteng?
Gauteng agrees.
KwaZulu-Natal?
KwaZulu-Natal agrees.
Limpopo?
Modulasetulo Limpopo ya amogela.
Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga agrees.
Northern Cape?
Northern Cape agrees, Chair.
Northwest?
Northwest agrees, Chair.
Western Cape? All 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. The Secretary will read the second order of the day.
Consideration of Development Bank of South Africa Amendment Bill B2B of 2014 and the report of Select Committee on Finance thereon.
Honorable Charles de Beer.
Honorable Chairperson, South Africa is resolute in stimulating increase unemployment and alleviate poverty and inequality. With that determination, it has created, among others, institutions like the Development Bank of Southern Africa, we call it DBSA, to champion economic development through numerous initiatives. These include funding of economic stimulating projects and infrastructure development. Further, South Africa, through its policies, Specifically, the NDP strive to promote regional and continental economic growth. It can be witnessed that the DBSA is now being molded to be able to function on a larger scale for the benefit of the country and the African continent through the DBSA Amendment Bill 2014. Amendments to the preamble of the Act. The preamble of the Act has been modified, extending the scope of the bank to the rest of the African continent and oceanic islands from originally the Southern African region. Therefore, statements in the preamble that refer to Southern Africa are substituted by Africa and its oceanic islands. Amendment of Section 1 of the Act 13 of 1997. Section 1 deals with the definitions. The amendment bill has inserted 3 new definitions. Amendment to Section 2 of the Act 13, 1997. The crux of this section amendment is in the extension of the region and countries of operation of the bank as defined in the newly inserted Section 2A. Section 2A ensures that the Minister of Finance should be aware of the annual plans for activities to be implemented by DBSA within and outside South Africa. Amendment of Section 8 of the Act emphasized the point of who is allowed to be a board member of the DBSA. Amendment to Section 13. Amendments have been done in Section 13 are related to the share capital. Subsection 1 speaks directly to the authorized share capital of the bank. This section amends capital change and has increased the authorized share capital for the bank. We refer to the following. Authorized share capital is changed from 5 billion rand to 20.2 billion. Shares division has changed from 500,000 to 2.2 million. And per value of shares, which is set to 10,000 rand, has been left unmentioned to be amended in number 5. Amendment of Section 17 of the Act. This deals with regulations that authorize the Minister of Finance to make regulations needed by the Act. Amendment of Section 21 of the Act. This amendment allows the bank to be safeguarded by the legislative framework. The Principal Act only mentioned the Companies Act of 1973 and the Banks Act of 1990. Currently, any other legislation that is appropriate is included, such as a PFMA. Conclusion, Chairperson, the DBSA Act amendments indicate that South Africa seeks to enhance economic growth and to be actively involved in the development of Africa as a whole. Therefore, these amendments will not only benefit the South African economy and its people, but fellow Africans on the rest of the continent. I move that the bill be adopted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. That concludes the debate. I shall now put the question, and the question is that the bill be agreed to. In accordance with Rule 63, I shall first allow political parties an opportunity to make their declaration of vote, if they so wish. Are there any political parties that wishes to make a declaration of vote? Democratic Alliance?
Honourable Chairperson, the proposed amendment increases the operational reach of the bank to include the entire African continent and the oceanic islands. It provides for an increase in share capital from 5 billion to 20.2 billion. This is callable capital that will be underwritten by the National Treasury. The amendment also provides for the Minister to make far-reaching regulations, including the determination of the national territory that constitutes the region. SAGA proposed to include a director, approved by them to serve on the board. The committee did not support that proposal. Given the bank's relatively poor performance, 706 million rand loss as at March 2013 and 108 million rand the previous year, the amendment can be considered as recapitalization of a loss-making entity. There is insufficient clarity on the role of the new BRICS Bank and whether the African Development Bank should perform the role proposed by the expanded Development Bank. The Minister has too much discretion in making regulations. considering the African Bank rescue and recent rating downgrade of 4 major South African banks, caution is required in extending any further lending facilities by the state to finance potentially unviable ventures. The DA does not support the amendment.
Thank you very much. Is there any other political party that wishes to make a declaration? Honorable Shaldebe.
Honourable Chairperson, I find it very strange that the Honourable Member come to this House and make this declaration or statement while that political party in the Select Committee for Finance approved it. Again, like in voting on the schedule in the appropriation bill, like voting for the division of revenue, there's the two faces of this political party. And I want to put it on record today. You can go back to the legacy of this House.
Just hold it, Honorable Shah. Is that a point of order?
Honourable Chairperson, on a point of order, the member is misleading the House. I can present the minutes of that specific meeting where our member withheld or reserved his vote and did not vote in the committee. So this member is misleading the House. He must withdraw, please.
Honorable members, this is a political party declaration. There is allowed the Democratic Alliance to make their declaration of vote, and I'm allowing the African National Congress to make their declaration of vote. Can we allow the political party to then make their declaration of vote? Honorable Shaldebe.
In terms of government's objective, to enhance growth not only in South Africa, but in the whole of the continent, in cooperation with the African Bank, Development Bank, in cooperation. The ANC support the amendments to this bill, not only to take South Africa forward, but to take Africa forward and the people of Africa. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there any other political party? In the absence of any, we shall now proceed with the voting on the question. Honorable members, it has been brought to order. Honorable Suka and Honorable Nguku, you have not logged in. I feel logged in now. Honorable Suka is logged in.
In, but it's just stuck here. It doesn't move forward. Okay. I tried to log in, but it's just stuck. There's a technical glitch on it.
Okay. No, that's fine. You will be provided with forms to then vote manually. Okay. Those were the only two so far that has been brought to my attention. Therefore, honorable members, I open for voting. If you do experience any problems, just raise your hand and then you'll be assisted with the necessary form for the voting. No. You can't vote twice, only once. Have all members voted? All members voted? Okay, may I therefore be... Not all members have voted. You see, the advantage of the system is that it can tell us immediately. And we don't want to call names of members who have not voted. If you're experiencing a problem, just indicate. Before we call your name, or we call on you to vote. Oh, I didn't vote. How many members are still outstanding? Voting is closed now. South Africa. Honorable members, the results are as follows. 25 members voted in favor and 12 voted against. Therefore, the majority of members have voted in favor. I therefore declare the bill as agreed to in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution. And the objection of the Democratic Alliance will be noted. The Secretary will read the third order.
Consideration of Attorney's Amendment Bill, B9B of 2014, and the report of Select Committee on Security and Justice thereon.
Honorable Klimi.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Deputy Chairperson, the Legal Practice Bill, once fully implemented, will provide for a single unified statutory body, the South African Legal Practice Council, to regulate all legal professionals. Due to the length process of implementation of the legislation, it has become necessary to address temporary problems via the Attorney's Amendment Bill until the Legal Practice Bill is fully implemented. The Attorney's Amendment Bill seeks to rationalize the disparate laws and structures regulating attorneys practicing in the former TBV states. The so-called TBV states, that is Transkei, Bophuthatswana, Venda, and Ciskei, all had their own law society to regulate the operation of attorneys. Changes to the Attorneys Act brought them all into mainstream law societies, but they are refusing to cooperate in matters of unprofessional conduct. In particular, concurrent jurisdiction exercised by the Law Society of the Northern Provinces over attorneys in former Bophuthatswana and Venda marked the beginning of challenges, particularly in the former Bophuthatswana. Challenges include a lack of disciplinary and regulatory control. Cases of unprofessional conduct are not properly investigated, and the Bophuthatswana Law Society does not cooperate with the Law Society of the Northern Provinces in the investigation of disciplinary matters. Chairperson, to address these problems, Clause 21 of the bill amends Section 56 of the Attorneys Act. The amendments provide for the continuity existence of the four mainstream law societies, Cape Law Society, Law Society of Free State, Law Society of the Northern Province, and KwaZulu-Natal Law Society, while dissolving any other law societies operating in the country. Chairperson, the Select Committee on Security and Justice, having considered the subject of the Attorneys Amendment Bill 2014 B9B, 2014 Section 75, referred to it, recommends that the Council pass the bill without proposed amendments. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. That concludes the debate. I shall now put the question, and the question is that the bill be agreed to. In accordance with Rule 63, I shall first allow political parties an opportunity to make their declaration of vote, if they so wish. Is there any political party that wishes to make a declaration of vote? In the absence of any, we shall then proceed. We shall then proceed with the voting. Same procedure. Voting is open. All members voted? Are we sure? We shall now close voting. Okay. Can I get? Should I proceed with? You'll need assistance. Who voted? Oh, no, no, you can't, you can't. If all members have voted, can you then proceed with receiving the results? The results are as follows. 39 members voted in favor, 0 voted against, 0 abstinence or abstention. The majority of members, therefore, have voted in favor. I therefore declare the bill as agreed to in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution. We now come to the subject for discussion as printed on the order paper. In welcoming the Minister, let me also take the opportunity to invite the Minister to introduce the subject matter. Honorable Gordon.
Honorable Deputy Chairperson, MEC Xasa, and the Chair of the Select Mr. Mohapi and his colleagues. We certainly welcome this opportunity to debate, and of course MEC Mamabola. I was looking for him but couldn't see him earlier. We certainly welcome this debate on how we could make municipalities more effective and more efficient. Honourable members, the basic services that local government provides, clean drinking water, sanitation, electricity, shelter, waste removal, and roads, amongst others, are basic human rights and are therefore essential components of the right to dignity enshrined in our Constitution and in our Bill of Rights. Functioning, effective, and efficient municipalities are central to creating a dignified environment for all of our people. An occasional review of the functionality of municipalities and actions to improve their efficiency and effectiveness is absolutely essential in a young democracy like ours. This will ensure that the capabilities of both political leaders and the administration to manage their responsibilities are constantly upgraded. Our vision of a developmental local government was that it would be the building block on which the reconstruction and development of our country and society is built. A place in which citizens of our country could engage in a meaningful and direct way with the institutions of state. Local government is where most citizens interface with government, and its foundational ethos must be about serving people. We have a proud record to guide us. We can certainly celebrate the fact that in 20 years of democracy, we've probably done more in service delivery than any other country in the world. We must acknowledge the work done by many role players in the process of changing some 1,200 so-called municipalities or structures that were racially based before 1994 to 278 municipalities today. If we look at the overall operating expenditure of municipalities in the 2013-14 financial year, it amounted to 282 billion rands against their revenue of 292 billion rands. Capital expenditure was 47.9 billion rands, but regrettably that's only 77% of all the money that was available. Municipalities spent 69 billion rands on employees' salaries, and the amount of money paid by some municipalities to their staff was sometimes as high as 44% of their overall spending. These numbers give you some sense of the importance of municipalities in our overall governance system. It is also, honourable members, humbling to remind ourselves that municipalities are complex institutions and operate in an ever-changing and challenging environment in which the choices made by individuals and businesses must both be managed and responded to by municipalities. We should, in this regard, also consider certain macro trends that are taking place across the world and indeed around us on the African continent and in South Africa. So let me give you some numbers. The United Nations estimates that by 2050, only 1/3 of the world population will reside in rural areas, with the remaining 2/3 living in urban areas. This is a reverse of the world settlement patterns in 1950, when 2/3 of the world population lived in rural areas and only 1.5 billion people lived in urban areas. The urban population has increased from 1.5 billion to 3.9 billion between 1950 and 2014. It is projected that this figure will increase by 60%, and by 2050, the urban population will increase to 6.5 billion. Just 3 countries, India, China, and Nigeria, together are expected to account for more than 1/3 of global urban population growth. An interesting dimension is the rate at which urbanization is happening. Whilst it took at least 64 years for 2.4 billion people to move to cities between 1950 and 2014, it is expected that it will only take 24 years to add an additional 2.6 billion people to cities in the coming years. While Africa is the least urbanized at 40% urban population, it has more than 414 million urbanites, which is higher than the city dwellers in Europe, North or South America in actual numbers. Only Asia has more people living in cities. It is also predicted that Africa's urban population will double over the next 20 years and triple over the next 40 years, reaching 64% by 2050. Cairo, Kinshasa, and Lagos are currently the megacities in Africa. By 2030, Dar es Salaam, Johannesburg, and Luanda are projected to surpass the 10 million population mark. Excuse me. South Africa is, of course, no exception to these global trends. Our 2011 census results indicate that 63% of South Africans live in urban areas. The National Development Plan projects that this will increase to 70% by 2030. The United Nations further estimates that by 2050, 80% of South Africans will live in urban areas. The population is concentrated in cities, honorable members. Our cities cover only 2.3% of the national area, yet account for almost 50% of the population. 4 major city regions, Gauteng, eThekwini, Cape Town, and Nelson Mandela Bay, account for 42% of our population. Unlike other urbanizing countries, our urbanization pattern is complex. Circular labor migration under apartheid has led to the creation of multiple households, with most households maintaining a footprint in both urban and rural areas. This means that the manner in which we do spatial planning, render services, and infrastructure need to take this phenomenon into account. Although this pattern might change in the long term, it also requires us to better understand and respond to the intricate relationship and connection between rural and urban areas. We should be cautious not to shroud the view of municipalities in a narrative of negativity, which I'm sure we'll see at some stage in this debate, Deputy Chair. A balanced, frank, and incisive analysis of municipalities and their functionality and responsibilities is what South Africa needs today and in the years to come. Let me give you some positive news. Municipalities such as Newcastle, Umhlatuze, Zululand, Fetahomo, Waterberg, Steve Tshwete, Thulamela perform very well on their municipal infrastructure grant allocations. Each of them might not do so well in some of the others. The secret to these municipalities is that they engage in forward planning on their infrastructure such that at the beginning of the financial year, they have already appointed contractors. They are therefore able to complete the implementation of their capital projects within the financial year, a practice that other municipalities need to learn. Richtersveld is doing well on planning compliance and has submitted IDPs and water services development plans timeously for 2013 and 2012, according to the latest Stats South Africa non-financial survey of municipalities. Drakenstein is doing well with regard to providing adequate access to water, sanitation, electricity, and refuse removal, while experiencing a 29% growth in households between 2001 and 2011. Umhlatuze is doing well with financial management, particularly with regard to managing its debtors, its cash coverage, and its reliance on grants. Midval has improved its governance and compliance over the past 3 years, particularly by submitting budgets and IDPs on time. Ditlabeng has improved over the past 3 years with regard to compliance to legislative requirements. The municipality has received an unqualified audit for the past 2 years. Steve Chwete has received an unqualified audit opinion with no findings for the past 3 years. The municipality is also doing well in managing its debtors. Nklambe is doing well on planning compliance and has submitted IDPs and water services development plans timeously for 2013 and 2012, again, according to Stats South Africa. There are many more examples, honorable members, of good work being done in municipalities, notwithstanding certain failures that they might have. So why did we introduce the back to basics approach to improve local government performance? Despite these achievements, there are areas in which local government is failing our people, where collapse or diminishing of core municipal infrastructure services has resulted in services either not being provided at all or being provided at unacceptable levels. The B2B program, as you know, is based on the following approach. We undertake a review of all of the municipalities, which we've informed you about, categorize those municipalities, those doing well, just about well and not doing well, we've also told you about that, develop a program that ensures that all municipalities perform their basic functions well and timeously. Provide clear, and this is where we are now looking at implementation, provide clear performance indicators to municipalities, monitor those indicators, and develop both incentives for good performance and enforcement tools for bad performance. So the main pillars of the B2B approach is firstly, as you know, put people first and their concerns first, and ensure constant contact with municipalities. Secondly, deliver municipal services in the right quality and standard. Thirdly, good governance and sound administration. Cut wastage, spend public funds prudently, hire competent staff, transparency and accountability. Fourth, sound financial management and accounting. And fifth, building institutional capabilities over the long term and administrative capabilities in particular. At the same time, the back to basic approach recognizes that there are wide differences between municipalities and emphasizes the need to understand the uniqueness and different contexts and challenges faced by various municipalities. And so, if we look at each of the issues or the pillars of the B2B approach, we know that there are weaknesses in public engagement, and therefore the performance measures will say very clearly what we expect municipalities to do in relation to public engagement, and in particular, resurrecting ward committees. Similarly, we are aware of weaknesses in the area of governance, where political leaders often lack the oversight and technical skills, or don't have the structures within their councils to ensure accountability. These, again, have performance indicators that will ensure that council meetings are held on time, that there are functionality of oversight structures, and that generally there's much better governance than we see in some of our municipalities. Financial management has been discussed very frequently, so keeping proper records, submitting annual financial statements that are accurate to the Auditor General, collecting revenue that is due, managing debtors, are all the areas that both ourselves and the National Treasury will be working on to ensure much better performance than we've seen to date. Basic service delivery is, of course, at the heart of the functioning of a municipality. With regard to the levels of service delivery, systemic failures ranging from gaps in critical technical and management skills, neglect of operations and maintenance are major challenges in this area. Creating decent living conditions and enabling business through creating the right conditions is our aim. All municipalities will be required to develop service standards for each service and must establish systems for monitoring adherence to these standards. Building capable institutions, Deputy Chair, is of course key. None of the things that we do in the next 5 years or the next generation does over the following 5 years will matter unless we make sure that we understand that building institutions is a long-term task. Each generation must make sure that it makes its own positive contribution to building capability, long-term sustainability, and making sure that the obvious things that we do that undermine this, like appointing people who don't have skills, which still happens probably in about a third of the municipalities, does not continue. Part of government's effort to clean up the pervasive corruption in municipalities and speed up service delivery is going to depend on whether we hire the right people. There are too many instances of corruption and collusion amongst public representatives, staff, and business, reflecting a broader breakdown in upholding the values and principles of good governance. Our national integrity, Deputy Chairperson, is under attack by those who selfishly steal from the public purse, and we need an effort by all forces for good, inside and outside government, to work together to fight this scourge. We acknowledge that it is going to take hard work to implement the back to basics approach, but I'm sure that all of us are up to it. Let me again take you through some of the specifics of the implementation of back to basics. Firstly, we have already circulated to all municipalities a set of performance indicators for the 5 or 6 areas that I've outlined and for each of the service delivery areas. There should be monthly reporting in respect of these indicators, and currently an information system is being developed to enable us to actually monitor whether municipalities are performing as they should. Municipalities in the dysfunctional category will be subjected to intensive monitoring with a very high degree of oversight, and where appropriate, we will even intervene directly to ensure that they recruit the right people, that they're supplying the right services, and are implementing the infrastructure projects, and if they're not, we will do it for them. Secondly, the back to basics approach is not only aimed at municipalities, but the entire system of governance. The recently held Presidential Local Government Summit, which many of you might have attended, endorsed the kind of approach that we've taken, as did the Presidential Coordinating Council, on which the premiers of our country sit with the President, and they've endorsed this approach as well. Third, task teams are being implemented on the basis of both a national and provincial presence on the task teams, and so that they, and in many provinces this has started already, they undertake an analysis of the situation in municipalities in that province, and amongst their overall objectives is to take charge of driving the back to basics approach across municipalities in that province, coordinate the interventions and activities of relevant national and provincial departments, and improve service delivery and address identified capacity issues. In the next 3 months, Deputy Chair, I think we will have some interesting results to show in this regard. We've created and will be developing further a database of municipal officials who've been found guilty of misconduct to make sure that those who are found guilty of mismanaging money, fixing tenders, or misbehaving in any way in terms of the law cannot work elsewhere in government for the next 10 years. This centralized database would in effect be a blacklisting system and would aim to warn other municipalities not to hire these individuals. Fifth, the role of the National Disaster Management Center is crucial to enable municipalities to develop their capabilities to handle natural and other disasters, as we've just seen over the last 48 hours. The next important area is collaboration amongst the spheres of different spheres of government. The implementation of the back to basic approach is not just about local government. All 3 spheres of government have an important role to play in ensuring well-functioning municipalities. In addition to MINMEX being used for this purpose, the Interministerial Committee on Service Delivery has met, and as it develops more momentum, we will have the presence and participation of all national departments that are necessary to enhance service delivery on the ground. The next area is, of course, planning, because anything we do requires careful planning. And in this regard, the example of spatial planning being linked to sectoral plans, meaning housing plans, transport plans, roads plans, can't just operate on their own. They need to be connected to an integrated spatial plan. And that means that there needs to be the right level of collaboration between sector departments and any agency undertaking this planning. So as part of going back to basics, we must ensure evidence-based and informed integrated spatial planning that informs infrastructure investments for achieving integrated urban development. We have noted that in most cases, integrated spatial planning does not form the basis for budgeting and programmatic interventions as it actually should. Now, in this regard, Chairperson, in addition to the back to basics approach, which is, let's call it a short to medium term approach, we have also a very clear plan for the development of our cities and towns over the decades to come. The draft Integrated Urban Development Framework, approved by Cabinet in August 2014, identifies 4 strategic goals for planning in South Africa and change in South Africa. access, to ensure that people have access to social and economic services and opportunities and choices, growth, harness urban dynamism for inclusive, sustainable economic growth and development, good governance by enhancing the capacity of the state and its citizens to work together to achieve social and economic development and integration, and spatial transformation to overcome the apartheid era spatial situation we have and create new spatial forms in settlement, transport, social, and economic areas. There are a number of so-called policy levers that will enable us to execute this plan. Firstly, integrated spatial planning, which over the next year or so will be crucial to ensure that all of us develop harmonious plans. Secondly, integrated transport and mobility plans. Thirdly, integrated urban sustainable human settlements. Fourth, integrated urban infrastructure. Fifth, efficient land governance and management. And sixth, inclusive economic development. 7, empowered and active communities. And 8, effective urban governance. All of this, in the course of the next year, will become a reality in South Africa as we go forward. So in conclusion, Deputy Chair, I'm certain that the temptation of certain parties is going to be to present us with a list of malfunctions in municipalities. What I've tried to convey is that if we want, as a national objective, effective and efficient municipalities, then there's room for all of us to work together in order to create the level of effectiveness and efficiency that we all would desire, notwithstanding the political competition that we need to have. So in conclusion, all the initiatives that I have described are part of a long-term process of ensuring that the aim of Chapter 13 of the National Development Plan, that of building a capable and developmental local government, are indeed achieved and result in putting people and their concerns first by delivering quality, uninterrupted services to all South Africans. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. May I call on Honorable Mohab to continue the debate?
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chairperson, Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable Minister and MEC Kasa present here today, Honorable members of the NCOP, distinguished guests, Chairperson or Deputy Chairperson, today's local government debate reflects a journey traversed from apartheid colonialism to our destination of ensuring that we build South Africa that will be non-racial, non-sexist, united, democratic and prosperous country. Chair, with full Afro-optimism, there is no doubt that South Africa and the political leadership of the ANC has made significant progress in the ongoing socio-economic transformation of local government in particular, and the society in general since the dawn of democracy in 1994. Hence today, we are able to attest that our people are having access to clean water, basic sanitation, electricity in Khatliso Mweketsi, in Kroonstad, Mochaka, roads, housing. This is a good story to tell. Chairperson, ANC government is making strides towards achieving the objective of constructing a developmental state within the context of the National Democratic Revolution, which seeks to ensure that every South African, especially the poor, experiences an improved quality of life. The ANC has always stood for basic democratic principles that include: 1, to strive for the achievement of the right of all South Africans as a whole to political and economic self-determination in a united South Africa, to overcome the legacy of inequality and injustice created by colonialism and apartheid in a swift, progressive and principled way, to develop a sustainable economy and state infrastructure that will progressively, Chair, improve the quality of life of all South Africans. Lastly, to encourage the flourishing of the feeling that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, to promote a common loyalty to and pride in the country, and to create a universal sense of freedom and security within its borders. Clearly, we have achieved so much, although there's still a lot to be done. Chairperson, in 1990, when the process of democratization began with the unbanning of liberation movements, local government were subordinate creatures of statute, comprising a multiplicity of fragmented institutions, racially segregated, which as a result provided massively unequal services to different communities. The transformation of local government was directed at removing the racial basis of government and making it a vehicle for integration of society and the redistribution of municipal services from the well-off to the poor. This process occurred in 3 phases, that is through the pre-interim phase, interim phase, and the final phase. Chairperson, one of the major innovations of the Constitution of South Africa was the elevation of local government to a sphere of government firmly establishing local government's autonomy. A municipality now had the right to govern on its own initiative the local government affairs of its constituency. This means that while national and provincial government may supervise the function of local government, this must be done without encroaching on the institutional integrity of local government. The Constitution further allocates the functional areas of local government competency in terms of Schedule 4B and 5B of our Constitution. Chair, the white paper on local government was developed thus charting the way forward from a non-developmental, subservient, and illegitimate level of government to a developmental, autonomous, and democratic sphere of government. Critical pieces of legislation were also designated to implement the new local government dispensation as envisaged in terms of Chapter 7 of our Constitution. Not only that, you would recall, Chairperson, that white paper on local government gave birth to other pieces of legislation. You can talk about the Municipal Demarcation Act, you can talk about the Municipal Structures Act, you can also talk about the Municipal Systems Act, and also talk about the Municipal Finance Management Act. Chair, in terms of the Municipal Demarcation Act, one of the main problems South Africa inherited from the apartheid era was a structure of race-based municipal boundaries. These boundaries were based on a policy of spatial segregation at local level through separation, influx control, and a policy of own management for own areas. Apartheid aimed to limit the extent to which affluent white municipalities would bear the financial burden for servicing disadvantaged black areas. Municipal boundaries needed to be demarcated afresh in order to enable redistribution and to achieve democratic, accountable local government consisting of financially viable municipalities. In the current democratic dispensation, disputes around cross-boundary municipalities and the changing of municipal boundaries have in the past and most recently been the focus of violent protests by communities affected by these decisions. Furthermore, the string of court decisions on the issue is an indicator of the extent to which these processes and challenges affect our communities at the grassroots level, Chair. This is an attribute in part towards the Constitutional Court has described as the degrading realities inherited from apartheid history that have impacted very practically on the ability of certain municipalities to meet even the most basic obligations of service delivery. Chairperson, since 2000, the local government sphere, through a range of other role players, has been supported and monitored, resulting in one, a sound and comprehensive legislative and fiscal framework in place for municipal governance, at least 1 billion currently being spent per annum on local government support and monitoring initiatives. The formulation of guiding capacity building strategies such as the National Capacity Building Framework for Local Government and the creation of intergovernmental political and technical coordination platforms. The introduction of a large number of flagship programs such as the Local Government Turnaround Strategy, the Municipal Infrastructure Support Program, the Municipal Financial Management Improvement Program, Operation Clean Audit, and the City Support Programs. Increasing examples of innovative provincial-level responses to the provision of effective support and monitoring within the local sphere. A significant increase in the number of households with access basic services as shown in the Census 2011 is a reality to attest to. Chairperson, however, 5 key performance areas of the 5-year local government strategic agenda are as follows. Chairperson, in terms of Section 47, subsection 3 and Section 48 of local government, the Municipal Systems Act number 32 of 2000 states that both the MECs and the Minister of Local Government must annually compile and submit to NCOP and the MEC for local government, a consolidated report for local government performance in terms of general key performance indicators. As the Select Committee on COCTA, we have made proposals in the House to further strengthen the monitoring, evaluation, and oversight of the performance of municipalities. This will ensure the submission of Section 47 and Section 48 reports by both the MEC and the Minister as stipulated by the Municipal Systems Act. Chairperson, in terms of oversight observation, during the first financial year, the Select Committee has recommended the dissolution of 3 municipalities, namely Nkwanga in Eastern Cape, Mpofana in KZN, Ngaka Mudiri Molema in the Northwest. As the committee chair, we are of the opinion that for service delivery to be effective and efficient in the municipality, there has to be a committed political and administrative leadership with sound administrative and management processes in place. Our assessment of municipalities in terms of this section, Chair, of the Constitution reflected that 23 interventions have been invoked over the past 3 years by responsible MECs for local government. There have been numerous instances of non-compliance owing to factors such as political interference, fear or favor, weak management and administration. Hence, we are appealing to the Honorable Minister that we need to expedite the process of introducing the intervention bill so that we can be able to regulate the processes that will be dealing with issues of intervention. Chairperson, our observation on intervention were based on 5 key performance areas of five-year local government strategic agenda as adopted by the national government. 1, the municipal transformation and institutional development. 2, the basic service delivery and infrastructure development. LED, financial viability and financial management, good governance and public participation. Chair, on good governance and public participation, we have observed a poor communication and accountability relationship with communities, and as such, a non-functionality of ward committees has also contributed to the challenges in our relevant municipalities. Based on these indicators, what is needed for the municipalities to work effectively and efficiently are the following: strong political and administrative leadership characterized by political stability, councils meeting as legislated and functional council and oversight structure like MPEGs. Regular report backs to our communities, I think it should not be treated as a privilege, but it should be a right that is entrenched in terms of the provision of the legislations, particularly Section 16 of the Municipal Systems Act. Continuity in the administration, responsiveness to service delivery needs, evidence of good administration and financial management, performance driven by integrated development plans, budget compliance and innovation, clean administration, priority all responsible for fraud prevention, risk management, and zero tolerance to poor performance. Chairperson, as a case in point, is the recent extension of Section 139 intervention in Mutuba-Tuba local municipality. Today, the intervention in the municipality has yielded more improvements, including moving from a disclaimer audit opinion to a qualification during the 2012-2013 financial year. There's been improvement in project implementation with the MIG expenditure. Operating deficit has been reduced from 27 million to 8 million. The municipality managed to clear a bank overdraft of 6 million in June 2013. Collection has increased from 900,000 per month to an average of 1.3 million. This is a clear indication that the intervention, Chairperson, is really bearing or yielding result. Chairperson, National Development Plan focuses on a need to produce and develop technical and specialist-related skills in government to overcome the skills shortage, particularly at the local government level. The long-term strategy is to create a pool of skilled professionals who can play a critical role in infrastructure delivery within local government. Chair, the problem of uneven capacity and varied performance is particularly acute at the local government level. The current local government system has only been in place for just over a decade, and there are inevitably significant challenges that remain to be addressed. Many municipalities are making progress despite major obstacles relating to finance, human resources, and limited autonomy. Chairperson, back to basic approach. In his State of Nation address delivered on the 17th of June 2014, His Excellency President Jacob Zuma articulated government's concern regarding improvement needed at local government level. The President stated that, I quote, "We would like our people's experience of local government to be pleasant one. We have listened to the complaints and proposals of South Africa over the past 5 years relating to the performance of municipalities." Chairperson, in conclusion, allow me to reaffirm our commitment as the ANC towards ensuring that we better the lives of our people out there, and would also do that without really compromising the integrity of human rights in terms of basic services. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I then call on MEC Xasa.
Honorable Deputy Chairperson, Minister of COGTA, Honorable Pravin Gordhan, MEC from Gauteng, Honorable Mama Bolo, Chairperson of the Select Committee, Honorable MJ Mohapi, Honorable members of the House. Thanks for affording us this opportunity to address the House on behalf of the people of the Eastern Cape. The Constitution of the Republic and the White Paper for Local Government states the following, I quote, "Developmental local government is local government committed to working with citizens and groups within the community to find sustainable ways to meet their social, economic, material needs, and improve the quality of their lives. In this regard, our mission as a province is to promote a developmental local state and traditional institutions that are accountable, that are focused on citizens' priorities, that are capable of delivering high-quality services consistently and sustainable through cooperative governance and participatory democracy. We are strengthening governance in municipalities in the province in order for us to effectively deliver basic services as prescribed by legislation. The Back to Basics campaign that was launched by the President on the 18th of September 2014. Our task as COGTA, led by the Minister, would be to coordinate the effort of the following sector departments: the Department of Water and Sanitation, Department of Energy, Human Settlement, Rural Development, Land Reform, Roads, Public Works. These are services that are required by generally most of our communities in the province. These departments are required to provide us with a master plan that would help us to plan properly at the level of municipalities and the province. We also experience the challenge of small municipalities that are not viable, such as Nguba in our area, Great Kites, Olwana, Harib, etc. We need support and ideas from all in order for us to help such small municipalities such that they can be able to work. Acts of political and administrative instability in some municipalities continue to diminish the status of good governance in the province. Some municipalities have become famous for wrong reasons, and we are actually focusing on some of these issues to make sure that we are able to deal with them. I think for now, the province might be famous for corruption, and we're strengthening our unit. We do have a unit in the province that is dealing with that issue. We are strengthening it, and like I'm saying, we are focusing on most of these municipalities. On the implementation of Back to Basics campaign in our province, we have profiled municipalities in line with the national department. We have got 14 municipalities that are not doing well, such as Makana, Sundays, River Valley, Harib, Great Kai, Nkwanza, Bavians, Mbashe, Mhlonhlo, etc. We also have 13 municipalities that have potential to do well, such as Sakisizwe, Kouga, Malitswai, etc. And the last group of 18 municipalities that are doing well. Can mention Kamdebu, Sengu, Elundini, etc. The status of hotspots municipalities, that are 8 out of 18 municipalities experience challenges in governance, financial management, recruitment of Section 56, and litigation. The affected local municipalities are Makana, Inkwanza, King Sabata, Dalindyebo, Mbashe, Garib, Ngushwa, Ikwezi, and Great Kai. As part of our remedial action, in the case of Makana, we'll just use that example and Inkwanza to illustrate what we are doing. We have invoked Section 139, 1C, 1B of the Constitution in Makana. We appointed an administrator, and I've seen that people have interest in this, so I need to explain what is happening. It is not true that that administrator has no contract. We appointed the administrator. We engaged her on the basis of a contract. It is also equally not true that we are just paying. We are paying her on the basis of public service rates, Department of Public Service and Administration rates. And we are paying her at the level of grade 16 because of her engagement. She was a Director General. We are paying her at that level. So in other words, we are paying her in terms of the law and regulations. It's not something that is new, and it is true, she might be the highest paid depending on the rates that we are talking about. So in other words, that has been done in terms of the law. But like we are saying, what is important? We are trying to assist Makana. Some of us, we may not know that Makana is housing an important university of the country, Grahamstown, Rhodes University. And there are many critical things that we need to deal with there. So we wanted to have somebody who we thought can turn around the situation. In other words, we think we'll be getting value for money in what we are doing there. She is not there alone. We are sending a team. And that team will come from National Cogta, Province, and Treasury to make sure that we are able to turn around the situation in Makana. The second municipality is Inkwanza. That was mentioned by the chairperson. We have implemented Section 139, 1C there. We are also having an administrator who is turning around the administration, preparing to re-elect a council. Tomorrow there will be elections in Inkwanza, so there's progress already that we are seeing. The status of audit outcomes in the province in the past financial year is as follows. The number of municipalities that have obtained unqualified audit outcomes has increased from 9 in 2011-2012 to 12 in 2012-2013. The number of municipalities that have obtained qualified audit opinions have remained the same at 19 for both financial years. The number of municipalities that have obtained disclaimer audit opinion has decreased from 15 in 2011-2012 to 9 in 2012-2013. The number of municipalities that have obtained adverse audit opinion has increased from 2 in 2011-2012 to 5 in 2012-2013. The following interventions have been done. Support teams that would be brought closer to where municipalities are. We will have support teams even here jointly with Cogta National, Province, as well as Treasury in the province, where they will be coordinated closer to where these municipalities are. Programs that focus on meeting municipalities with adverse and disclaimers on a quarterly basis to actually brief us on the progress they are making in terms of implementing their turnaround or improvement plans. We will support municipalities who are in distress. The There are municipalities that are unable to pay the Auditor General's fees. They are unable to pay ESCOM. They are unable to pay generally all their debtors. So we are dealing with that. In conclusion, despite the challenges that I've mentioned above, there are municipalities that are doing well in the province. We can cite Sarah Bartman. I'm hoping they are even going to improve better. We can mention Amatole and Kresani districts. We are also having local municipalities that are consistently doing well. Sengu is one of such municipalities, and Matadia. And I hope a number of them, as we progressively implement the Back to Basic campaign, are going to improve. Ours is to get back to basics, as already indicated, to provide quality services and create better communities. The municipal leadership must implement strategies to recover revenue, because we also are coming from an area where municipalities are very poor. Municipal leadership must implement those strategies, maintain aging infrastructure, and the municipalities must become functional. Working together, we can do more to realize the radical socio-economic transformation to alleviate poverty, reduce unemployment, and eliminate inequality. I thank you.
Thank you very much. May I call on Honorable Chetty to continue the debate?
To some, we are the prophets of doom, but to others, we are the hope that a nation in desperation is awaiting for. Water 2016. Greetings and salutations, Honorable Deputy Chairperson, Minister, MECs, guests and fellow members. Honorable Deputy Chairperson, municipalities under ANC rule have become a family business with jobs for pals, incompetent and unqualified managers, and little or no cooperation between various spheres of government. Increasingly, our people have been forced to take to the streets, burning tires and barricading our roads, which in many instances have turned violent and some resulted in the loss of innocent lives. The ringing of these alarm bells are sounds that Parliament cannot ignore. With 176 reported incidents this year alone, and 43 people killed in the last 10 years. Sadly, I ask you, Honorable Minister, is this a good story to tell? Or is it a nightmare? Are you, Honorable Minister, serving the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs? Or are you serving the ANC's municipalities of corrupt governance and traditional affairs? In 2009, and as confirmed by the 4th Parliament, in its legacy report, the Public Protector, Thuli Madonsela, told us that protests arise due to dissatisfaction with poor service delivery, financial mismanagement, and allegations of fraud and corruption, coupled with complaints of poor communication with communities. When the DA took power in 2009, we listened and immediately started working with the municipalities in the Western Cape to root out these very issues that the ANC left us with and to become increasingly service-delivery driven. And 5 years later, Honorable Minister, we have seen changes in the DA-run Western Cape, positive changes, but we have also seen the degeneration around the rest of the country. Many municipalities, Honorable Minister, are in a precarious financial situation, suffering from a lack of skilled financial management. In the 2013-2014 financial year, 14 more municipalities were placed under administration. Almost all of these municipalities are under ANC control. In acceding to the DA's request for an investigation into the qualifications of the CFOs employed by municipalities, it was revealed that of the 278 CFOs, 170 did not possess adequate qualifications. This was indeed a shock to you and Luthuli House, but not to the DA or the residents who suffer daily at the hands of incompetent, unqualified senior officials. In a report delivered by the Department of COCTA to the Portfolio Committee this year, it was revealed that in the quarter ended 2014 March, municipalities were owed 93.4 billion for municipal services as compared to 84.2 billion for the same period last year. The largest component of this debt relates to households that haven't paid their bills, which accounts for 57.5 billion. Business owes 19.3 billion, other debtors owe 12.5 billion, and government, yes, Honorable Minister, government owes 4.1 billion. In the ANC-run Gauteng, municipalities are owed the highest amount at 40.9 billion. It is clear municipalities are being crippled with its failure to manage and collect its debt, and your interventions have been lackluster. Seriously, Honourable Minister, is this together making our municipalities work effectively and efficiently? I think not. The recent urgency, supported by your department, in invoking Section 139(1)(c) to dissolve failing municipalities was embraced and applauded as a step in the right direction. In the instances of Moipofana, Ingaka Modira Molema, and Inkwanka. Yet, in failing to immediately dissolve the Madibeng and Mokalakwena municipalities, the ANC is using its majority to exercise Luthuli House's will over Parliament's prerogative and using the organs of state to settle political factionalism within the ANC. A case in point is the ANC-run municipality in Mzinduzi. In 2009, this council was in the red for 750 million and was placed under Section 139, rightfully so. However, Honourable Minister, currently, Mzinduzi's book debt is nearing the 2 billion mark. It is besieged with service delivery protests in Woodlands and Copesville. And the council has wasted 18 million rand on a red brick road outside the city hall, and a further 36 million rand sponsored to a privately owned soccer team. The ANC's policy to promote cadres who have crippled municipalities to other spheres of government is evidence in this House today. This policy must be terminated immediately. But yet again, COCTA's silence on corrupt governance is deafening. Honourable Minister, let us face the facts. As stipulated by your department, 1 out of 3 municipalities are failing. 1 out of 3 are average. 1 out of 3 are effective. But the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Committee differs with that, having identified 135 municipalities that are in distress, noting that none are within the DA-run Western Cape. Yes, Honourable Minister, the DA also faces its own challenges in the municipalities it governs. But the big difference is that the cooperative governance is just not in word, but in deed. Exercising strong political will to strengthen the capacity of local municipalities, implementing sound management systems, and improving executive oversight on administration implementation is how we lead where the DA governs. On this note, let me congratulate the 29 out of the 30 Western Cape municipalities for achieving clean audits results in the 2013, a true reflection of cooperative governance at work. Honourable Minister, you are most recognized for your strong proposed austerity measures plans in your immediate past deployment.
Honourable Chair. Honourable members, please, you are allowed to confess. I don't have to hear what you say. But in this instance, I could hear what you were confessing on. Please, let's not do that. Continue, Honourable Chetty.
Thank you, Chair. On this note, Honourable Minister, you are most recognized for your strong proposed austerity measures planned in your immediate past deployment as the Minister of Finance. In your opening address, Honourable Minister, you alluded and acknowledged to the problems. And now, it is actions and not words that will define your tenure as the Minister of COCTA. It is time, Honourable Minister, that you put aside the ANC agenda and assert your authority by taking control of your department leading without fear or favor from the truly house, and directly dealing with incompetent management, poor service delivery, and support between government structures will restore your legacy of putting the livelihoods of South Africans beyond the ANC's inevitable disintegration. Now that, Honourable Minister, is what is needed to achieve working together in making our municipalities work effectively and efficiently. And that is the good story that all of South Africa is waiting to hear. I thank you.
Honorable Apiri, Limpopo Chairperson, Coxter.
Honorable Deputy Chairperson, thank you very much for this opportunity. Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable Minister of Coxter, Honorable members of this august House, Honorable MECs present here this afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Tobel. Honorable Chairperson, we have come together to meaningfully debate about our municipalities because, Chair, we all agree that the basic services and needs of our people must be met. Progress, Honorable Chairperson, has already been achieved in the provision of services to many communities. The release of the 2011 census confirmed the great strides made in providing basic services. This upward trend is reinforced by the recent report on the non-financial census of municipalities, which was released on the 2nd of September 2014. Honorable Chairperson, this report confirmed that the services rendered by municipalities has reduced poverty. The report focuses on basic services, namely water, electricity, sewerage, sanitation, and solid waste management offered by the 278 municipalities across the country. Honorable Chair, local government is required to take a meaningful leadership role to citizens and stakeholder groups to be empowered and partake in the development process in order to create social resources and engender a sense of common purpose in finding local solutions for sustainability. Local municipalities, therefore, have a critical role to play as influential policy makers, decision makers, and as institutions of local democracy close to local communities. It is in this regard that local municipalities are now being pressurized to become strategic, visionary, and vastly influential in the way they operate. The South African government has decentralized power to local government in order to create better opportunity for direct participation in service delivery, policy, and decision-making processes by civil society. These actions were conducted in an effort to speed up reformation of the development of local government. Honorable Chair, prior to 1994, people who were not white, such as blacks, Indians, and colors, were effectively denied democratic representation and any legitimate means of participating in development activities. In addition, the approach to local government administration and development during the apartheid era provides a sharp contrast to that in the contemporary period. Before 1994, local government was responsible for a narrow range of traditional local government functions, providing basic municipal services such as water, electricity, internal roads, street lighting, stormwater drainage, etc., and played a very minimal developmental redistributive role, Honorable Chair. The mandate of local government in South Africa is also articulated in the preamble of local government. Municipal Structures Act 117 of 1998, which provides that there is fundamental agreement in our country on a vision of democratic and developmental local government in which municipalities fulfill their constitutional obligations to ensure sustainable, effective, and efficient municipal services, promote social and economic development, encourage a safe and healthy environment by working with community in creating environment and human settlement in which all people can live an uplifted and dignified lives. A set of fundamental public administration values and principles underpin the activities of local government administration and management. Honorable Chair, the strategy attributed municipal service delivery problems to external and internal factors. The internal factors related to issues over which the municipality would exercise a direct influence, such as the quality of decision-making by councillors, the quality of appointments within municipal administration, procurement and financial governance. The external issues were those over which municipality exercised little control and included its revenue base, the legislative environment, demographic and prevailing microeconomic conditions, and also intergovernmental relations. At the time of writing, the municipalities were implementing the turnaround strategy. Honorable Chair, in 2009, the Coxstar Department under the leadership of late Honorable Minister Sicelo Siceka embarked on assessment on the state of local government in our country. The assessment revealed that casual reasons for distress in municipal governance pointed to: 1, poor ability of many councillors to deal with the demands of local government; insufficient separation of powers between political parties and municipal council; lack of clear separation between legislative and executive powers and functions; inadequate accountability measures and support system and resources for local democracy; and poor compliance with the legislative and regulatory frameworks for municipalities. Honorable Chair, in raising his annoyance about the above-mentioned findings, President Jacob Zuma, during the Presidential Local Government Summit on the 18th of September 2014, said, I quote, "Some of the priority areas to improve service delivery include achieving a clear separation between the roles of political principals and the administrative heads of municipalities. In addition, accountability and oversight in local government must be improved or reinforced." He further said there should be audit report for each local authority each year from Auditor General. Government has responded to improve professionalism and the management of local government by introducing amendment to local government legislation, for example, the Municipal System Amendment Act. There should be no compromise in ensuring that officials possess the necessary minimum skills, close quote. Honorable Chair, the ANC-led government launched Operation Clean Audit campaign on the 16th of July 2009. However, Honorable Chair, as the province, we are very much concerned that not even a single municipality has achieved a clean audit in the 2012-2013 financial year. In achieving our vision, we are going to continuously assist the department and the municipality to achieve sustainable improvement in financial management and governance. With all the key challenges highlighted, Honorable Chair, by the Auditor General, as the ANC-led government, we remain convinced that they can be addressed and that Operation Clean Audit is as well achievable. We will continue to give the municipality the support and guidance through quarterly municipal door-to-door visits with a view to monitor and evaluate the status of improvement and the sustainability of key internal controls and leadership tone that will be a catalyst for the realization of clean administration in municipalities across the country. Honorable Chair, we do acknowledge that the delivery of services is not an event, but a process. That's why the ANC-led government urged municipalities to challenge more efforts to those rural areas with no access to RDP houses, water, and electricity. It is a common knowledge that our municipalities are battling to spend the MIG. We noted with great concern on the underspending on municipal infrastructure grant on the part of some municipality, and this trend continues from the previous financial years. Poor planning has been identified as the main reason for expenditure on MIG. We will continue to exercise our mandate to make sure that the MIG achieve its purpose. Honorable Chair, the traditional leadership system is at the core of our democratic constitution, but so too it is imperative for the government to be meaningfully democratic and inclusive and be implanted in the will of the people. For local government to work efficiently, conducive relations between the traditional leadership and local government should be fostered for the betterment of the people of South Africa. The smooth working relationship with municipalities to identify the needs of a traditional community and facilitate their involvement in municipal affairs, including through shaping integrated development plans and participating in service delivery. They have roles in respect of disaster management and the promotion of indigenous knowledge system. In this regard of the role of traditional leadership in local development, our next door neighbor Botswana is a classical example. In conclusion, Honorable Chair, this country is not immune to draw some constructive lessons from our counterparts like Botswana. As the ANC-led government, we are very proud by making our intention
Honorable
very
Member,
clear.
your time has expired. Honorable Matibas.
I want to take this opportunity to greet in this August House. In terms of section 156(1)(a) of the Constitution, the provision of basic service is a local government function. Local government has executive authority in respect of basic municipal service, which include electricity, water and sanitation, domestic wastewater, refuse removal, refuse dump and solid waste disposal. So what is the current state of our municipalities in our country? The reality is that we know that Treasury allocate bills to national government. It counts as millions to provinces, but comes as thousands, if not hundreds, to local government. And the rest go into tenders, which end up in individuals' pockets. No service to our poor people. According to the community survey, pit latrines are most common in Limpopo, 64.5%, and at least common in the Western Cape, 0.8%. 12.7% of Free State use Bacchus toilets, while Northern Cape is 4.4% and Northwest 4.2%. Access to pot water, which is ridiculous within 200 meters of household, standards of 74.4%. Equally in Limpopo, Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal province recorded the lowest percentage of access to pipe water below national average of 74.4%. Furthermore, municipalities has inadequate financial management capacity. The result is that the budget accounting and credit control and financial report systems are weak. Hence, 60% of the 283 municipalities cannot give evidence to account for the money they receive. According to the Department of Housing Settlement, government has provided nearly 4 million housing opportunities. However, the Socio-Economic Right Institution of South Africa pointed out in 2013 report to the conflict figures for the numbers of households and server sites emerged from various government sources. Of course, ANC wants to exaggerate the good story to tell. The government policy has varied over the years, but currently only those earning less than 3,500 per month, with some expectations, such as elderly and disabled, are given houses completely for free of charge. Kate Tingsington, a senior researcher and advocacy officer of the SERI, estimates that 2.3 million households are in need of housing. But the Minister of Human Settlement claims that the government will not provide free housing for almost under the age of 40 of age because they lost
Honorable members, all
nothing
I can't even
under the
follow
apartheid.
I wish to understand him. Hold it. It is also important that I follow what the speaker is saying. And if members are interjecting in a manner in which they do, I won't even know. By the time you raise a point of order, I won't be able to make a ruling on it. So allow me also an opportunity to hear what the speaker is saying. May you continue.
This is an attitude of not caring government. A caring government will always open its doors for the poor. Of course, ANC won't admit, but part of the problem is distribution of resources between national government and municipalities and within municipalities. While currently they are transferred mainly the local government, equitable shares, and the municipal infra grant from national treasury to municipality. Such transfers are inadequate to ensure basic standards in the poorest municipalities or are spent inappropriately in other areas. For example, in 14 of the poorest South African municipalities, all in rural and informal homeland areas, over 50% of the population, each with the average of approximately 100,000 residents, has no sanitation provision. According to State South Africa, in 2011, it is estimated that there were 3 million registered indigenous households identified by municipalities. Of this total, 2.1 million households, 71.6%, receive free basic. 1.8 million households, 59.5%, receive free basic electricity. 1.7 million households receive free basic sanitation, and 16 million households receive free basic refuse removal. Indeed, since 2009, the FBS program in the Department of Cooperative Government and Traditional Affairs, formerly the Department of Provincial and Local Government.
Member, there's a point. What point is it?
Thank you, Chairperson. Can you take the question?
No, I don't have time.
Honorable member. Okay, fine. Let me leave it at that. The member is not prepared to take a question. Continue, Honorable.
Of course, because of the collapse, local government South Africa has experienced at least one service delivery related poorest protest every second day. It is not because people are mad. It is because local government is simply failing.
Can you summarize, Honorable Member?
As I summarize, yes. The idea that one method would fit in all municipalities cannot be the case. Local government can only work if there is a strong, accountable, and transparent central government. I thank you. We will educate each other more.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Order, honorable members. Honorable Mama Bole, MEC Gauteng.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Let me extend a word of greeting to our Honorable Minister, MEC Kaza, honorable members, and of course, Honorable Councillor Mahabi from Salga. Now, let me also take the opportunity to appreciate and welcome participating in this very important debate. But let me say, honorable members, that when I was invited to this debate, I never had in mind that it will be abused to launch a local government election campaign for 2016. And I think we must take the opportunity to protect this debate by not degenerating to the level of poor political, cheap politicking and attempting to launch a campaign for the next local government elections. If we were to raise issues, Honorable Chetty, right here in the home ground of Pota Pota, there's a lot that needs to be done. I think you could have started there. You could have said to us, how are you helping the people of this province to deal with the problems of gangsterism and many other problems in this province. But as I said, let us not allow the debate to degenerate in the typical manner that the DA would want us to do. But as for empty footy, it never disappoints, always empty, as always. Now, honorable members, let me also start by acknowledging a very important remark made by Honorable Minister and confirm or reaffirm the point that indeed our country has done exceptionally well compared to many in the delivery of basic services to our people. It is true, and President Jacob Zuma did note this point, that actually in many parts of the world, liberation movements, once they have attained freedom, the ordinary people are normally left to themselves to survive. And in our country, I'm quite happy that we do provide basic services, and the ANC government has done exceptionally well to provide basic services to our people, and I think we should continue, Honorable Minister, with that excellent work. Let me, honorable members, just briefly remind you about the essential features of our province of Gauteng, that the province consists of 3 metropolitan municipalities, as well as 2 district municipalities, which are subdivided into 7 local municipalities. Our province covers a very small space of about 18 square kilometers. And of course, since the release of the current census results, it is clear that our province is the biggest province with a population size of about 42% of these people, which is about 12 million. 4.3 million of these people live in the city of Johannesburg, with about 3 million in Ikuruleni and 2.9 million in Tshwane, which means that about 85.73% of all people in Gauteng mainly live in the 3 metros. I thought I should mention these points and statistics and figures to demonstrate to honorable members in the House that our municipalities in Gauteng continue to face pressure to deliver basic services. And as you'll surely understand, we do have limited resources to do that. Let me also mention 2 very distinct and important achievements to the House today. One of them is that, honorable members, as I stand here, and I can say this without fear of contradiction, that since Honorable Premier David Makura appointed
his Executive Council to lead the fifth administration in Gauteng Province. We have, of course, except for some notable few exceptions, Gauteng Province is currently very stable, it is peaceful, and indeed we are moving forward our province. We do not have at this stage so-called hotspots. We do attend to all protests in less than 2 days. In actual fact, many of these community protests, honorable members, we prevent them on a daily basis very proactively, and that's why I'm very much proud that more often I hear less use of the word hotspots referring to our province in Gauteng. And of course, this relates mainly to what Premier said, repositioning our province as an activist government, and I can say to members, this is working very well. Just as an example, honorable members may be aware that we are working very well with the community of Pegastal, which was regarded as a hotspot in the province of Gauteng. I'm pleased to report to honorable members that we have launched a project of about 320 million to improve the sewer network in the area of Pegastal. We have entered into a partnership with the city of Johannesburg to launch a massive and high-impact cleaning campaign guided by Minister's Back to Basic approach in the area of Pegastal. Just this weekend, with the Premier on Sunday, we will be handing over about 1,200 houses that were a basis of illegal disputes between residents of that community and, of course, government. These are very important achievements that demonstrate that our province is doing very well and working exceptionally well with the communities, guided by Minister's profound document of Back to Basic approach. The other important point that I would like to mention to and report to honorable members is that in the province of Gauteng currently, as matters stand, and of course this is an assessment that was done nationally, we do not have municipalities that could be regarded as dysfunctional or in the ICU. We don't have those municipalities in the province of Gauteng. We do not have municipalities that I can say, Honorable Chair, perform at the lowest level currently. Our municipalities are viable in terms of financial matters and, of course, with respect to governance. It is for this reason that in Gauteng Province, we do not have Section 139 interventions. And I think I'm very much proud of this very important situation in our province. However, let me indicate, honorable members, that we are deeply worried by the situation in Western Area, Randfontein, and of course, to an extent, Mirafong. I can say that I'm deeply worried that Western Area municipality has a great potential to underperform with respect to expected outcome audits. We will monitor this space and do our best to make sure that the performance of this municipality does not degenerate. It is also important, honorable members, that I make a call to the House and to our minister that we are worried in Gauteng Province about the high level of debt and, of course, the exposure of municipalities to debt, including those in the bond markets and in the international creditors market. We think this is a it's an important issue that honorable members must continue to look at and will continue to exercise oversight over it. Given that Gauteng is a leading economy, we are worried, Minister and honorable members, about the rate of investment in productive assets and infrastructure to make sure that we continue to grow our economy. And I think this is a matter that, honorable Minister and members, we will need your assistance to make sure that we exercise great oversight over choices with respect to investment made by our municipalities in productive assets to keep Gauteng as a growing economy in our country and, of course, in the continent. Let me also say, Gauteng municipalities are very viable with respect to access to water. Most of them are at 90% with respect to access to piped water. On sanitation, most of the municipalities are around 95% in provision of access to sanitation. With respect to electricity, The only area that's worrying us, honorable members, is a western area with about 58%, which is very low with regard to that very important basic service. Access to refuse removal, we are in general at about 80% in most of our municipalities, and I think there's a great room for improvement. Let me also indicate on institutional transformation and organizational development. You may be aware that currently we have about 144 approved senior management posts in Gauteng. 128 of these are filled and 16 posts remain vacant. There are 2 vacant municipal manager posts only in Randfontein and Merafong. There are acting incumbents in this position, however, and I think in the whole province there is only 2 unfunded posts which are in Randfontein local municipality. I must also hasten to mention to honorable members that although Randfontein municipality and Greater Western Area municipality are a point of worry, will be moving with speed to match the 2 municipalities. We hope out of that we will get optimum performance from the 2 municipalities.
Conclude, Honorable.
In conclusion, we know that...
Sorry. Honorable Julius.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable MEC, I just wanted to know whether you will take a question from me. Thank you.
It's concluding already.
Can I conclude?
Conclude, Honorable.
Let's not launch election campaigns, Honorable Member. It's not yet time. In conclusion, Chairperson.
Honorable Julius, take your seat.
Chairperson, you didn't entertain my question. You answered it and you didn't ask the Honorable MEC whether he will take a question.
Yeah, I made a ruling already. He has left with 4 seconds. When I said he must conclude, it's already 4 seconds. So there's no way that in that 4 seconds we can entertain a question. So that is why I said he must conclude. Take your seat. Conclude, Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let me make a commitment that we're working very hard in our province to reposition COGTA to become a prime leader in cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations, guided by the Back to Basics documents and the Premier's 10-pillar program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Manopule.
Ke a leboga modulasetilo. A ke simolole fa ke recognize ministera le di MEC tse di mo gareng ga rona le NCOP members le SALGA batho botlhe ba le mo ntlong. Modulasetilo ke a leboga pele ga ke simolola ga ke tsena mo karolo mo tšhukatshukanong le dingangisanong tse di teng fa ke tla be ke sa itirela sentle. Ha ke sa simolole gape ke re ke kopa gore le mpalele mo palong mo go lwantsheng ntwa ya go lwantsha tshukatshukano le go sotlakana ga bana le basadi ka nako e ha malatsi a simolola a lesome le borataro a simolola gompieno mme le ntse re itse gore re ntse re gopole ka nako tsotlhe. Ke simolola ke re mabogodinku a thibana gape ke bua ke ipuela Seboane ka ntlha ya gore thutokgang ya re dirang gompieno e tshwana le e hitileng ya maloba. This debate is preceded by the debate of together making service delivery work for our people in order for us to realize that it is prudent to ensure the effective and efficiency of our municipality as a collective effort. That is a synergy between the 2 topics. We have entered the 2nd decade of freedom with the strengthening of democracy, acceleration of the program to improve the quality of life of our people. ANC-led government managed to transform undemocratic, unrepresentative oppressive and corrupt state serving minority into a unitary, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic state. That is why, as ANC-led government, we recognize that front line of service delivery is the municipality and has to develop and adopt measures to reduce inefficiency, reorganize, improve performance in all pillars of transformation. While we talk about back to basic, an ANC as people-centered people's government has always been for efficiency when preparing for government. Recognize that fundamental elements of local government in policy guidelines document, which is ready to govern, which acknowledge a need for effective and efficient local government, which apartheid has left a legacy of fragmented local authorities. Furthermore, recognize that local government has access to sufficient resources to carry out its states of function, should operate so as to ensure that resources are used efficiently, and local government must be developed to be a developmental character. We welcome this program of COCTA, Back to Basics, launched by the President during local government summit. I challenge all of us to work together to ensure that this program becomes a success and a good story to tell, which translates to efficient and effective municipality for radical transformation of our people's life for decent living condition. In areas where the service has not been reached our people, we should speed up by also being agent of change of service delivery. We should find this framework as a collective action needs commitment amongst our communities as well. Moreover, critical to be championed by NCOP strategic machinery to support, monitor implementation by regular oversight more frequently than usual, and as unusual framework of program of leadership. As our leaders here in NCOP, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Deputy Chairperson and Honorable Chief Whip, in unison, without mixing their words, that NCOP Fifth Parliament must be a business unusual. To appreciate the strive for effective and efficiency, the municipality should prepare to acknowledge its weakness and decisive action and decisively address them in order to accelerate and escalate the people's struggle towards service delivery. The breakthrough government program that echoes the NDP objective is COCTA Back to Basics program to change with program that is for change with 4 priorities that seeks to resuscitate the role that municipality function in a holistic manner. To recognize that the role of NCOP through Select Committee of COCTA act as activist parliament, we should jealously guard, defend, and play a central role in leading oversight program, which is aimed at achieving the delivery of service, which will convert their life into decent living. As NCOP, we should prioritize the assessment of legislation passed by for regulating local government, whether it has yielded intended purpose, working hand in glove with SALGA, as we have noted during the struck plan of session of the NCOP. Let me mention the 2 or 3 or 4 of them. Honourable Minister, if you can note them. The first one, the legislation that the SALGA has raised to us and brought to our attention as a select committee in the commission during the strategic planning. They said, 1, the Infrastructure Development Act 2013, the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Act 2013, Municipal Property Rates Amendment Act 2013, Disaster Management Amendment Act bill that is saying that it's affecting their operation and efficiency and effectiveness as municipality. So I hope that the department will take that into consideration, as well as a select committee, as a members of select committee, will also be able to take this and as making assessment. We appreciate the Auditor General's report that was presented to the NCOP in the past 3 weeks with the challenge that were highlighted to us and the immediate task to be done. Furthermore, notes the key issues that were highlighted in the 2013 local government report of NCOP. The first one, professionalism of local government. Those are the issues that were highlighted by local government in week of 2013. The other one, municipal boundary demarcation and its implication for transformation. Shortfall of vertical and divisional of capital expenditure. The last one, NERSA, electrical tariffs at assess, which is affect local government. Notwithstanding the issues raised above, we should not seek to justify the mistake or setback but rather come up with the methods and action that responds to changing immediate circumstances in order to achieve our ultimate goal, which is effective and efficient service delivery. These 3 spheres of government needs to improve and foster relationship. Mabogo dinku a thibana ka mo go botlhokwa thata gore karolo tse tharo tse tsa mmuso o magareng wa magae le go godimo di berekisane thata ka dinako tsotlhe go dira gore municipalities tsa rona di bereka thata e be di bua gape di dira gore tiro ya diragala go botlhokwa thata gore tirisano e nne teng ka dinako tsotlhe ha tirisano e seyo ga nkitla go diragala. I believe as ANC, we have bold, capable people who need to step up and provide leadership in political administration and administrative matters and act decisively in order to drive this ship of municipality. The key areas highlighted by Kokta in the back to basic document, which is financial management, good governance and public participation, which is pivotal implementation of the NDP objective building developmental state. As one of the objectives of the NDP mentioned, that relations between national, provincial, local government are improved through more proactive approach managing the intergovernmental system stated in chapter 13. I believe that, and I'm confident the PAM bill will negate the efficiency of human resource capacity, especially areas of critical skills for development and transfer of skill. To address the public participation should be resuscitated by what committees that are there, but not some of areas in municipality are not effective, and community development workers to be able to be forefront, also running back and pick up issues in a more proactive manner. When parties comes together, we'll be able to ensure that we achieve this. As an ANC, our ultimate objective is for effective and efficient municipality that is capable of deliver basic services for decent condition of living for our people. Together, we should work hard to achieve those goals. Mabogo dinku a thibana go botlhokwa thata gore re dire mo. Both effective and efficient municipalities together will move South Africa forward. Ke a leboga.
Thank you. Special delegate from Western Cape, Honorable Hinan.
Chairperson, let me, in the name of democracy, greet this August House and greet as well the Minister and the MEC present and all the members of the House. Chairperson, in the Auditor General Report on Local Government of 2012-2013, only 22 of the 278 municipalities received unqualified audits without findings. More than half of those municipalities were in the Western Cape. Although major strides have been made in the delivery of water, electricity, sewage, sanitation, and waste management service to the majority of South Africans, there are certainly a great number of people who still needs to have these services. I always, Chairperson, say that people who have a problem with anything the auditor report is coming up with, they have a democratic principle and a right to challenge the Auditor General instead of howling and instead of just thumb-sucking, but trying to dispute what the Auditor General is saying, but are not challenging him. Local government has a vast array of functions to perform, but the delivery of basic services remains the most pertinent issue because it touches the day-to-day lives of everyone in our communities, both rural and urban. Therefore, the improvement of administrative abilities are crucial to meet the present and the future needs of the people of South Africa. The DA supports the proposed regulation by the National Minister. The Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape implemented our alternative regulations in August 2011. These regulations have paid dividends. 31 of the 32 municipalities in the Western Cape have received good audit reports. A high level of specification is required to ensure that the municipal reporting reforms are practical. The standardization of reporting will also assist to understand key issues such as poverty alleviation, performance, data and credit management, as well as the spending of grant allocations. This information will also lead to improved understanding of local government performance and challenges. There are indeed no one-size-fits-all, nor any instant solution. When it comes to the remitting the maladministration of municipalities and district municipalities suffering from the gross financial and systematic neglect under the ANC-led local governments and their poor cadre deployment across the country. This year, 30 of the 32 municipalities entities in the Western Cape submitted their audits to the Auditor General for 2013 in time, within the prescribed timelines. Only one, listen to this, only one of these municipalities, that is Kananaland, which is governed in coalition by ICOSA and guess with who won? With the ANC, received an adverse opinion with findings from the Auditor General on compliance and performance information. Did ANC set anything against the audit's report? They can't. The residents of Oton, currently under siege by the ANC, have asked that the municipality be placed under administration. Their inability to manage their finances and administration has had a negative impact on towns and its people, especially with the tourist destination of Kango Caves. Since Democratic Alliance took over from the ANC in the Western Cape, a dramatic turnaround improvement has been made in the audit outcomes of the municipalities. You need to take facts. You need to understand what is it that you are saying based on facts, but not based on your political emotions. The Auditor General found that this improvement was the result of considerable attention and effort dedicated to prior year's qualification. 7 municipalities in the Western Cape managed to improve their financial unqualified with findings audit of the previous year to a clean audit outcome. The positive outcomes in the Western Cape municipality audits is the direct result of the commitment displayed by the political administrative leadership effectively implementing these actions. The institutionalization of good governance practices were emphasized through the focusing on the establishment and implementation of basic administration and standard disciplines and processes. To support positive outcomes, basic administrative processes were continuously and rigorously monitored. You can't have a municipality that is failing repeatedly year in, year out, and yet we have the mechanism that is effective in terms of monitoring. You can't. Then we have to learn from the Western Cape how it manages its municipalities. And if one is ashamed of learning from the Western Cape administration, Let's at least approach the Auditor General and ask, can you give us a tip on how to manage our municipalities? Demands for the better audit outcomes municipalities which were made by the Auditor General strongly reiterates the Democratic Alliance visions of an effective and fully functional local government that has defined objectives and criteria. Excellent service delivery to all the citizens in our country should be the paramount objectives of municipal administration. Clean audit reports and efficient, effective service delivery go hand in hand. In the DA investigation into the municipal entities that performed well, it was found that the excellent and competent leadership was part of a management principles and procedures, which is what the local government minister has just said, that if you can't do it yourself, we will do it. And I can assure the minister, this is exactly what you are saying, this is exactly what the DA is doing in the Western Cape, hence the positive results. In the DA investigation, municipal entities performed well. It was found that the excellent and competent leadership was part of the management principles and procedures. Successful municipalities like Swartland and West Coast District municipalities approach their finances with an iron hand, which is what is needed. You are given the money. If you can't spend that money, you need to be given a direction on how to spend, and you cannot do it if you do have the soft hands. You need to have a strong iron hand. Strict discipline and controls were put in place. Strong leadership ensured stability and functional management. Knowledge and skills were effectively transferred to the officials. Stability, political and administrative will to implement the right directions improved the performance of the administrative municipal team. Political games playing sabotage effective municipal management and should be avoided at all costs. We are going to experience, as we are heading towards the 2016 elections, the sabotage and the revolt in the ANC-run municipalities, because people would want to contest as mayors, as councillors, so that we're going to have these unending strikes.
Sorry, Honorable Irnan. Honorable Zwane.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to know if the Speaker can take the question.
Order members, are you prepared to take a question?
She'll talk to me after I'm finished here. I have no problem.
No, continue, Honorable Irnan.
Interference by political parties in the running of municipalities has crippled effects on functioning municipalities. When parties attempt to micromanage municipalities, we are easily forgetting, look at what happened in the Northwest. The overspending of municipalities on salaries of municipal managers should be placed under control. It has been found that municipalities that are the least functioning has to fork out salaries and bonuses to managers who are clearly incompetent. According to a recent question asked in Parliament, municipalities across Africa owes Eskom, across South Africa owes Eskom 10.8 billion rands. The problem is mounting because municipalities fail to effectively collect revenue from the end users. Do you still remember the billing problem in Johannesburg? The DA applauds Western Cape municipalities who pay their bills timeously and thereby making sure
conclude
that the province is kept burning. The DA in the Western Cape acknowledged that the majority of youth municipalities adhere to the timeous payment of service delivery. The Western Cape saw the reduction of 31.7% in the use of the bucket toilet system. According to the report, 77.3% of the Western Cape consumers benefited from free basic water services. That the province, this
Your
province...
time has expired.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Kaula.
The elephant.
Honorable Chairperson, The municipalities in our country are in a state of chaos which does not give one any confidence on matters of development and service delivery. To be concise, we do have some municipalities in the country which are doing well. They are doing well politically and administratively. And for such cases, we need to commend those municipalities with their leadership. The crisis is that we have quite a number of municipalities that are failing South Africa. In a response to a question asked about the number of service delivery protests in 2012-13 in the country, the Minister of COGTA replied that 2012-13 had a total of 176 service delivery protests. Of these, Gauteng alone had a total of 26 service delivery protests in the same year. Based on these totals, each one of our provinces had an average of 20 protests, also averaging about 2 protests per month per province. Responding to questions here at the NCOP on 28 October 2014, His Excellency the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa attributed about 80% of these protests to problems in municipalities. A summary of the 2014 audit findings by the Auditor General is cause for concern. Some of the reasons cited by the Auditor General as root causes for this poor state of affairs are slow response by political leadership to address the root causes of poor audit outcomes, lack of consequences for poor performance and transgressions, key positions vacant, or key officials lacking appropriate competencies. In respect of officials lacking appropriate competencies, SALGA, through their deputy chairperson, have defended themselves. They say sometimes they are compelled to employ people with no skills because of political interference from above. SALGA further claimed that sometimes they award tenders to poor-performing companies because of political pressure and political interferences from above. Now, in such circumstances, what can be expected? After the 2011 local government elections, 19 municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal were hung municipalities. In almost all these, or most of these municipalities, the IFP was the leading party, without 50% plus one. The ANC ganged up with the NFP and they co-governed these municipalities. In most of them today, governance is in tatters. It is Chinua Achebe's story of things fall apart. In the Zululand District Municipality, the IFP and the community of Zululand have been complaining that the municipal funds and resources were being used as a lifeline for a political party, the NFP. In fact, the ANC Youth League, with the NEC member of the ANC, Mr. Begicele, also marched to the municipality at the beginning of this year, submitting a memorandum on the very same allegations. The IFP has submitted this matter to the public protector. It was a big surprise and a great shock to everybody on 17 June this year in his State of the Nation address when the state president counted these municipalities as among the 11 municipalities which stand out as best for consistent good performance in audit, expenditure, and on municipal infrastructure grants and service delivery. This irony of the whole assessment is that in the 2014 audit reports, the Auditor General has found about 19 million rand that cannot be accounted for in the very same municipality. The municipality's administrative leadership and political leadership has resisted appearing before the provincial scope to account on these matters. The MEC has now instituted an investigation. Our municipalities must be assisted. The IFP wholly support the principle of back to basics in the municipal governance. This inter alia means spending efficiently, properly, and effectively, employing personnel based on skills, capacity, and need, stopping corruptive practices, awarding jobs and tenders on the basis of ability and capacity to perform, increased efficiency in the collection of rates, and improving the turnaround response time in the municipal services. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Kaula. Honorable Lord.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I want to start by thanking the Minister for his speech. Politics is in part the art to play with words, and your speech today made it sound as if the municipalities in South Africa is not that bad off. However, being a sports fan, we often have the saying, look at the scoreboard. Now, I'm going to tell you what the scores are for each province based on the audit reports. Unqualified municipal audit report. Honourable Lapiri, you only have one that is positive. So I think you should come here and hang your head in shame with the results in Limpopo. It's 3%. Northwest standing at 22%. The Northern Cape, 22%. Mpumalanga, 24%. How long have you been in control, Honorable De Beer, and you still haven't fixed it? By the time you have passed away, you still wouldn't have fixed it. The Free State, only at 30%. The Eastern Cape, you finally passed the benchmark that the ANC set at 35%. KZN at 17%. Sorry, getting back to the Free State. Honorable Mohapi, you said apartheid has left a terrible legacy. However, even though this is true, bad mayors such as the ones we had in Mokaka local municipality did not help in addressing the legacy of apartheid. KZN 79%, that's better. The Western Cape and Gauteng at 94 and 95%. This is a disgrace. On a disgraceful 35% pass rate, 6 out of the 9 provinces are failing. How is it possible that members in the ANC and in this House accept and defend provinces where audit findings are so bad? This is only the tip of the iceberg. Current crises within our municipalities include Makana. Now, the MEC is willing to defend the appointment. Okay, I'm going to challenge the MEC. Put your money where your mouth is. If the appointment fails, resign. Okay? If the intervention does not succeed, resign. Okay? If the ANC appoint competent individuals,
Order members. We can, heckling it's parliamentary, but you can't drown the speaker.
They're trying their best, Chair. If the ANC appoint competent individuals, not cadres, we should not sit in a situation where we need to have interventions. Okay, I'm glad the Minister said we will get back to basics and appoint competent staff. Practice is needed here, what we preach, like appointing the disgraced former Oudtshoorn MM in Kam de Boer. The Mogalakwena crisis, Minister, while you are sitting here, the biggest crisis is unfolding in that municipality. It is alleged that the MEC for Kokta acted in contempt of the court by ordering police to ensure that an illegal council meeting was held to elect a speaker and a mayor of the municipality. This is a glimpse of the level to which the ANC is prepared to descend to protect the interest. Just yesterday, again, the police acted in contravention of a court order to impose an illegitimate regime on the municipality. In addition to bullying their way into the municipal offices and damaging municipal property in the process, the police allegedly used rubber bullets against municipal officials and councillors who were trying to do their job. Why is the police acting with impunity, protecting an ANC faction and adding to the chaos of doing their job, instead of doing their job and allowing democracy to follow its course? Honourable Minister, on whose authority are the police acting? Who gave the order? The mess in Mogalakwena lies at your door. Your department is failing if you do not liaise with your national colleagues, specifically the Minister for Police, and get the police to respect the interdicts against them. Now, I've got copies of the interdicts, Honourable Minister. I don't know if it has reached your office, but I'll give it to the message and you can read through them. Honourable members, you're making a lot of noise. Some of you are sitting here chup still, the rest of you are making a lot of noise. Each and every one of you should hang your heads in shame, okay, for not raising the issues and allowing the abuse of state resources to take place across South Africa. A lot of good, it is being done, okay, but we can do so much more if every member in this House take up the issues that come out of our own provinces. It is time that every one of us should stand up for our principles and not turn a blind eye to the wrongs going on. Okay, colleagues, if you stand up for the Constitution. That is your job. Please do it.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Lord. I'm impressed about those that are able now to look at their right and make it simple for me because they are checking their time. So that is good. Honourable Keila.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, MECs, members. The 80-20 report released by the South African Institute of Race Relations in May 2014 presents a critical, clear situation in which our local sphere of government finds itself since democracy. However, some of these findings are confirmed by the National Development Plan adopted by our Parliament. The Consolidated General Report on Audit Outcomes of Local Government for financial year 2012-13 by the Auditor General of South Africa further confirms some of these weaknesses. The well-celebrated improvement highlighted in the same Auditor General's report are clear indication that with more focus and commitment to act decisively, the current situation can be turned around. Accordingly, a paradigm shift from problem analysis and solution designed to strict implementation action must be the way to go if municipalities are to work effectively, efficiently for people and with people. All evidence tells us that better municipal management is a vital part of making municipalities work effectively, along with accountability and centrality of the people. A professional civil service at municipal level is another important component necessitating the abandonment of cadre deployment. Such intervention and reforms are essential to stemming out corruption and direct resources away from private pockets to concrete service delivery. Restructuring of geography of local government and redesign of its finances are equally important. The revenue base and the revenue base and rapid high rate of economic growth creates an environment for absorption of millions of our people into wage and employment and reduced demands upon municipalities. Political parties and communities should also play their part in ensuring that our municipalities are working. This they can do, amongst others, to select the best qualified leaders to be councillors. A bold line in separating the party from state must be the order of the day. Municipalities should stop being used as branches or extension of political parties governing in that municipalities. This is why in some instances you find that municipalities are used to settle political scores of different factions within political parties. This must be stopped. Chairperson, Honorable Minister, reading the daily dispatch on Monday when I was coming from Eastern Cape, I do agree that intervention is needed. One has been done in Port St. John's, where you send one of your officials, but one is surprised with the intervention in the Makana municipalities. If you calculate the rates according to the dispatch, that person will earn about 27,000 rand per day, which is a lot of money. I don't think you'll be able to explain that. Secondly, KSD. KSD, when it was in the UTM, Naitata, it's a mess up. You get parts of potholes. Every street, there's water leakages in every corner, mismanagement, cradle deployment. Not only KSD, most of the municipalities, you look at Mpashe, Minister, rats are running in the streets in Mpashe.
Your time
It's
has
a mess
expired,
up.
Honorable Keila.
So we need proper officials to do the job, not cadre development. And also we need to
time has
respect
expired,
political
Honorable
parties
Keila.
who are in power. And that is what the ANC cannot do, to respect those in power. Thank you.
Representative of Salka, Councillor Magabe.
Tell them that cadre deployment works.
Thank you very much,
Honorable Deputy Chairperson, Honorable Minister of Kokta, all MECs present from various provinces in the country, the Chief Whip of the NCOP, honorable members, as well as special delegates to the National Council of Provinces. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members. On behalf of the South African Local Government Association in the country, we want to express a sincere appreciation and gratitude for this opportunity to reflect on how far we've gone in terms of democratizing local government in the country. To that end, Honorable Chairperson, allow me to reflect on critical areas as we build up towards the 2016 local government elections and beyond on the good work which local government has done in the country. While we have celebrated 20 years of democracy and freedom in the country, next year local government just turned 15 years of democratic local government in the country. And therefore, as we critique the work that the local government has done, we also need to bear in mind that we are still 14 years. And I'm sure as you're going to meet in the next local government focus week, we'll be able to elaborate further on these issues as we have raised them. Indeed, from 2000, as the Honourable Minister has said, we want to agree with the Minister as Salga that indeed local government has laid a solid foundation. And therefore it is important that as honourable members, we need to, as we move forward, take that into cognizance, moving towards the next set of elections. Let us not forget, honourable members, that the massive transition we have achieved have also transformed a fragmented racial-based system of local government in an integrated democratic system with uniform one-to-one on what we refer to as wall-to-wall, as outlined in the white paper on local government. Local government has pioneered groundbreaking initiatives that have had a far-reaching transformative impact on many in our society. There are other many initiatives that our metros have pioneered and also championed by other municipalities in the country, in advancing the development of our people in the country as a whole. This is in addition to the significant contribution that local government has made in an expansion of social infrastructure and services to our poor households in the form of a basket of social services, like what we have referred to as free basic water, electricity, solid waste collections, sanitation, and sewer connectivity, which sometimes are unappreciated as demonstration of local government at work. The state of our cities, towns, and villages compared to 14 years ago demonstrates unequivocally the profound contribution of local government to the country's development and key service delivery gains. Contrary to often disproportionate negative narratives sustained against our municipalities in the country. The Honourable Minister has spoken on what we refer to as going back to the basics. That include emphasis on intergovernmental support for local government. At the Presidential Local Government Summit held on the 18th of September 2014, we collectively endorsed the Back to Basics Program of Action for Local Government, in which municipalities have been broadly grouped into three types in terms of their performance, as the Minister have alluded to. Those that are doing well, exceptionally well, those which are functional but have the potential to do well, but also those that have been classified as completely not doing well, which sometimes refer to them as in the ICU. We agreed with this characterization, Honourable Chairperson of the NCOP, as well as the articulation by the Honourable Minister, to require response in a differentiated manner to assisting each of these types of municipalities to progress, with an obvious immediate bias on those municipalities that are not performing good. Accordingly, Honorable Chairperson, at our most recent SALGA National Executive Committee in October, in which the National Council of Provinces was key participant, we interrogated the key challenges which continue to bedevil many of our municipalities and resolved to support the implementation of the Back to Basics program of action in the following ways at South African Local Government Association. A successful cities are the vital cog to the economic objectives of our developmental and capable state. We must equip them with necessary institutional reforms to ensure that the routine investments in the built environments reverse the spatial legacies of apartheid. We must strengthen oversight capacity to be robust and resilient to withstand the forces of corruption and maladministration, and increase the participation of communities in the governance processes, and including commitment to implement the accountability and consequences framework. We must ensure better audit outcomes and financial management through implementing our municipal audit support programs to those municipalities in financial distress who persistently attain disclaimers and adverse audit opinions. This undesirable audit reports is unacceptable, Honorable Minister, as well as the Honorable Chairperson of the NCOP. And they must be eradicated. No disclaimers and adverse opinions should be visible in local government in the near future. We need to rationalize laws and regulations to ensure a sound policy and regulatory framework for us to be able to do what we need to do as local government, as well as implementing the good intent of the current laws and regulations, assisting us to be responsive, accountable, and efficient. We must address the declining revenue base of municipalities and increasing challenges of urbanization and the poverty by implementing the integrated urbanization development framework and implementing rural development strategies. We must intensify public participation and practicing inclusiveness of the communities in our institutional governance processes, including working with our own traditional leaders, which more effectively to respond with agency and care to our communities' needs. We must support leadership development in the sector and establish SALGA as a center of innovation and intelligence to strengthen documentation and sharing of good practices in this sector. We are firmly over the view that if we do these things, we will strengthen the integrity and the image of local government, as well as the confidence that our communities and other stakeholders have in our ability to provide better outcomes and meet the development aspirations of our people. Lastly, let me reflect on our key partnership to tackle the challenges outlined. The success of our initiatives lately depends on greater intergovernmental support and collaborations around key projects in municipal areas, Chairperson, and other intergovernmental initiatives aimed at improving the living conditions of our people. We therefore called upon the Honorable Minister of Kokta, as the champion of local government and the cooperative governance, to engage with its national and provincial counterparts to ensure support for our commitments by applying the principle of finance follows functions to those functions already transferred, assigned to those to be transferred or assigned to local government, including qualifying the financial implications of the new laws, regulations to municipalities, implementing an integrated development and planning and a discussion approach across sectors and spheres in line with the national development plans to achieve spatial transformation through IDP as well as central planning tool of government. Respecting and supporting the constitutional mandate of local government and collaborating with the sector to improve development outcomes, including through rationalizing legislations and regulations which impede the effective delivery of services and transformative socio-economic development of our people. Lastly, Honorable Chairperson, but not the least, to our parliamentary principals present here this afternoon, We look forward to working closely with you collectively in addressing all these challenges that confront our municipalities, as well as those that confront our municipalities, monitor the implementation of these commitments through active oversight and engagement. In conclusion, as we approach 15 years of democratic local government in the country, the remainder of this term must therefore be characterized by high expectations and demand for stable, dedicated leadership that responds to the urgent challenges facing local government sector in the country. While substantial progress has been made, much work remains to be done. We should, however, remain mindful that we all live, work, pray, and play in our municipalities. And the services we enjoy are for the most part provided by our local government. All this indeed not doom and gloom, and we should build a confidence in local government. We must consolidate the gains made to date by addressing some of the fundamental constraints befalling our municipalities, mainly by getting the basics right and improving governance fundamentals. It is only then that we will be able to demonstrate that local government is responsive, accountable to our communities, and that we undertake all our basic duties and tasks with the utmost care and diligence for the benefit of our people. Honorable Chairperson, we are therefore committed to work with partners in government and civil society to ensure our integrated approach to service delivery and that developmental vision of local government is realized. And let us all rally behind municipalities as the key players and implementers of our government programs of action. And as we march towards 2016, let us continue this developmental journey with renewed vigor and commitment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Tobejane.
Thank you, House Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Honorable MECs present, Honorable members of this august House, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Modulasetulo go a hlokega gore dingangišano tše di swanago le tše tša go rera ka bommasepala di fele di swarwa e le ge go swarwa ga tšona e tla ba e le go tiišeletša le go matlafatša bommasepala ba rena ka gore e le bona ba ba dutšego le batho kua metseng. Ga gona mmušo o ka bago mmušo o mokaone ge o sa hlokomele bommasepala ba ona gobane batho ba tseba mmušo ka bommasepala. Therefore go bohlokwa gore debate tše di bjale re di tiišetše kudu ge re lemogile gore mmušo wa rena go etapele ke African National Congress o gatelela letšatši ka letšatši gore a re boele morago re lebelele gore na re timeditše eng tšeo di dirang gore re se ka hlola re ba bakaone sefahlogong sa batho ba rena. Mo mengwageng ye 14 ye fetilego ya go ba gona ga bommasepala ba rena re lemogile gore masepala ge o ka šetšwa ge o ka fiwa šedi ge o ka agiwa ka tsela yeo mmušo o dumelang gore ge o ka thwala batho ba maleba bao ba tla go swara diposo tšeo di tla go sepetša mmušo wa rena ka ona gona masepala o ka fihlelela ditabatabelo tša ona. Lebaka la gore Afrika Borwa e includile mešomo ya bommasepala ka gare ga molaotheo wa naga ke tšhupo ya gore taba ya bommasepala ke taba ye bohlokwa tšhabeng sa Afrika Borwa. Ga re bone masepala bjale ka by the way, re bona masepala e le ye nngwe ya dikokwane tša pušo ya Afrika Borwa. Therefore go a swabiša gore ge re swanetše re be maAfrika Borwa re bolele ka ditaba tše diso re seno ba re sa bona batho ba itšeang gore bona o ka re a ba tšwe Afrika Borwa, bona o ka re ba na le naga ya bona e ba dulago ba le tee, bona ga ba bone batho ba sokola ka gare ga Afrika Borwa. E be e ka se be rena re ka emago mo rategantšha re ketiti ya sefega re rena re dirago lekane re tseba gore batho ba sokola kua ntle. Ge re bolela ga bjale batho ga bana metse batho ga bana ga go dula ga bana di services tse ba di nyaka gona morere go batho ba re ba dira bokaone. Therefore rena jwale ka African National Congress re ka se tsoge re khutšitše go lwanela ditokelo tša batho go fihlela ge batho ka moka ba ka bonala ba lekana gomme ba hwetša ditirelo ka moka ga bona. Re ka se thabiše ke sehlophana ka se tee ge se bonala se lokologile in the expenses ya batho ba Afrika Borwa. Re e bone tabae because re a tseba gore dilo tše di diragalago ga se tše diswa. Rena re mo constructioneng ya go aga naga ya Afrika Borwa, mo nageng ya re nyakang go yaga re ka se kgone ge re sanka ra re ka moka ga rena ra rwala maikarabelo a gore re nyaka go aga naga yewe batho ba yona ba tla go ba le seriti ba tla go ba fila gore ba hlomphega. Re ka se tšwele pele re te gantša gore nna MEC Mamabolo a le tee o berekile go lekana mmušo wa ANC re ka se tsoge re rile re lekantša until every citizen a fihlelela ke ditirelo tša Afrika Borwa. Taba e ya gore batho ga ba swabe ba kgethile ke ditšhuana ba kgethile ke batho ba go sokola ba tla ba ema mo ba re rena re fihlile re na le everything. It tells you gore ga ba tšee batho ba Afrika Borwa jwale ka ge ba swantse ba tšee ka gore ba ba tšea ba ba nyaka fela for gore ba kry di-vote tša bona ge ba di hwetša ba te kgantšhe ka tšona ba seke ba bona bohlaki jwa bona. It is important gore rena jwale ka ma-Afrika Borwa particularly in this house re bolele ka molomo o tee wa gore a re yen ro lokiša mathata a batho ba rena. Mmušo ga o thuše bommasepala ba rena o ba agele capacity o ba kgontšhe go fihlelela ditirelo tše batho ba di hlokago. Gona will then said South Africa have arrived. Not yet. House Chairperson, not now. A sa hlwa re ya felo re sa le mathomong 14 years it's not enough gore re ka ba re fihleletše ditirelo ka moka tše re di nyakago. Re a tseba gore ba bang ba rena re dutše ka mo ka gore re le maemong ao re antswego ditlamorago tša apartheid e re fele capacity ya go ba lesela gomme a re kere ka batho ba bangwe. Hence re tla tšwela pele gore wa rena re fihlile Western Cape ke province ya South Africa mo batho ba rena ba dulang gona ba sokolago mo batho ba rena ba dulang gona ba phelago ga boima. Ge re bolela ga jwale go tswile report ye e ka se re thabiše go rena batho ba ANC ye e rego Western Cape ke ye nngwe ya dinaga ka gare ga dinaga tše top 10 in the world yeo crime e le go rife godimo ga yona. Mara ga gona rena jwale ka gore naga e ke ya rena ka moka re ka se thabiše ke taba mohuto. We have to stand up and work with the Western Cape re bone gore re correcta this abnormality. We cannot be cheers ge re lebeletše batho ba sokola batho ba re province ye.
Honorable Tobejane, Honorable Faba.
Honourable Chair, I know the Honourable Member will most probably not take a question, but will he take a SMS? Can he give me his number? I can at least SMS him so that he can get clarity on what he's talking about.
No, why can't you say...
Well, I'd love to ask him a question.
Honorable Tobejane, are you ready to take a question?
Chairperson, go gopola gore ke tlo fetša mo ke tla re ge ke etswa ke tla feta ke tšea question ya gagwe ke tla e araba re tshepe.
He's going to take your question, allow him. When time allows him. He's going to take your question.
Please watch the time, Chair. Thanks.
Go on, Honorable Tobejane.
Ke be ke re gane o nyaka go contest a report e ke e bolelago ka gore report a ya ngwala ke rena maAfrika Borwa e ngwadilwe ke batho ba le kua Mexico ba checka dinaga tša lefase ka moka ba re bosenyi jo bogologolo re bala dinaga mo ye nngwe ya tšona ke Western Cape Town. Mare rena, as I'm saying, re ka se thabele naga ya rena ina le potlana e nngwe ye batho ba sa ipshinego ge ba phela gona. But amongst other rena le batho ka mogare ga naga ba thabišago ke dilo tše di jwale ge ba bona pleke e nngwe sa perform gabotse bakeng sa gore re joine matsogo gore a re thušeng batho ba rena re fihlelele ditirelo tše ba di hlokago bona ba betha matsogo ba ema mo ba re aowa rena re lebeleleng re apere hempe tšetšo a icon batho ba Afrika Borwa ba sokola bommasepala ba rena ge ba ka bewa gabotse ba tla kgona go hlola mešomo ba tla kgona go godiša ikonomi ya naga ikonomi ya kgona go absorba mathata a rena go le ona ya fihleletša gore re be le solution e kaone. We cannot We cannot stand here, sound, enjoying and celebrating when we are seeing just a small corner of our country doing well, while the majority of our country is not. The report that we have been given by the minister, it has said 1/3 of our municipalities, which is almost 93 of municipalities, they are performing very well. But the rest of the municipalities, the other third, it's in a position that if we work together, we can push them to become well-performing municipalities. The one area that we have to worry about is the 1/3. That it looks like defunct as we are talking. And this dysfunctional that we are talking about, it should not be about people of ANC, it's people of South Africa. When we are saying we are building a better country, a country that all of us will be happy, it's when we would have been taking care of all of you, including you. Today you can talk here. If it was you during your time, nobody would have been talking the way we are talking. All of us, we were going to be arrested. But because the ANC worked for all of you, irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of how you undermine it, it will make sure that all of you, your dignity, your reputation is respected. And we hope if we can work together and consider to empower our municipalities and make sure that we assist our municipalities to achieve the goals that we are intending to achieve, we will build this country. It will become a better country that all of us wanted to live in it. That's the reason why we are saying we have got a good story to tell, because we have got a plan about this country of South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Faber, to take your seat.
Honorable Chair, I would just like to know how much time the honorable members got left.
Honorable Faber, Honorable Tobejane has already left the podium, so take your seat.
I was totally excited to let him tell us how good the Western Province is doing.
Honorable Minister of Kokta, Honorable Kodan.
Firstly, Chairperson, let us once again remember that when we talk about a dignified life, today is an important occasion to remember that our women and children deserve a dignified life, as the President launched the 16 days of activism against violence against women and children. So I hope that all of us will practically commit ourselves to that finding, or to that campaign. Secondly, on the question of municipalities and what do we do about it, we can shout at each other, we can score cheap political points, we can insult each other, as some of you have done. But the real purpose is that we've got to build, as Honorable Tobejane was just saying, build a new country with a new foundation, with new human rights, and with new municipal and other structures that serve all South Africans. So, Chair, perhaps you as honourable members need to reflect upon whether, during the course of just this year, the NCOP has performed its role, whether you have called municipalities to account to you, whether you have taken up the issues that you are worried about in X or Y or Z municipality, called up the mayor, called up the municipal manager, called up the speaker if need be, and said, what are you doing in your municipality? Come and account to us. And that will then give you direct answers. You don't have to wait for a minister to come along and answer those questions for you. So I want to challenge you, Chairperson and honourable members, that when we come back in the new year, let the NCOP play its part and join us in this campaign to get better municipal performance. On the intervention bill, I'm glad you agree with me. On the intervention bill, it's ready for submission to Cabinet, so either it'll happen before the end of the year or early in the new year. But let me also make a point about the tough task that administrators have when we implement 139(1)(b) or C. They probably have to leave their home areas, they have to live in a, inverted commas, foreign environment, they have political antagonisms that they actually have to deal with, and still perform executive functions that they have been put into that municipality to perform. So let's have a bit of empathy for administrators as well. And perhaps as the NCOP, call some of the administrators and ask them to explain to you what is their experience in trying to manage a municipality in an antagonistic environment. And perhaps that will teach us a lot more about what is going on. Now, the DA and the EFF, some of us are old enough to remember a very old movie called The Odd Couple. It was Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. If you don't know, I'm sure some video shop will have it. But this is the real odd couple in South Africa. One claiming to be left and ultra-left, the other one claiming to be sort of right, and they carry on being right and left and they meet behind the back, which is what is going on currently. But more importantly, Mogalakwena keeps coming up, either in the National Assembly or in the NCOP, and the DA continues to mislead the House, Chairperson. I've just got 2 SMSs about what has happened in the last 24 hours. The one is that the court dismissed the urgent interdict that the municipal manager sought to stop the IEC from holding by-elections. So by-elections go on the 26th, and stopping the newly constituted council from meeting. The municipal manager was trying to stop the newly elected councillors and those that remained behind from meeting. Now, is the DA collaborating with the municipal manager in this regard? Is what the DA must own up to this House and to the public. But the second one, what happened yesterday in Mogalakwena was that the newly sworn council, no, hear me out. I heard you out. Hear me out. What happened yesterday in Mogalakwena was that the newly sworn council wanted to access the council premises, and they were prevented from doing so by a security company. Hence, the mayor summoned the police to gain access. Today, they successfully held an EXCO meeting and a council meeting, which is their legal constitutional right to do so. So, the question is, who's really messing around in Mogalakwena, and who's trying to disrupt legal processes at play in this municipality? Of course, Honorable Lont and Chetty, I don't really have time to respond to other matters that you've raised, but you might want to appreciate the title of this debate. It's about creating more effective and efficient municipalities. And what is shocking is that after taking up so much of time of this House, you can't come up with one constructive suggestion, apart from criticizing the ANC, about how can we do better in the national interest. And that is a serious political shortcoming that you have. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. In the words of our Chief Whip, that this 5th term is going to be business unusual. Let me take this opportunity and thank you, Minister, MEC Mamabulo and MEC Kasa, and the special delegates from Limpopo, Honorable Apir, and Honorable Hinana from Western Cape, and the Salga representative. This is a clear confirmation that this is the House that will get even Salga and the special delegates, because we are representing the interest of the provinces. And the challenge that you are throwing at us, Minister, we are taking it very serious, that we have to live as per the mandate of the Constitution to make sure that the effectiveness and the efficiency that we will want to see in the municipality will always be a dream if not all of us are putting our hands on the deck. With those, I would like to thank you all members. That is why the topic has been very interesting and it's in the interest of building our country. That concludes the debate and the business of the day. Members are requested to remain standing until the procession has left the chamber. The House is adjourned.